let's see here. We are live.
Ah, just got the notice.
Yeah,
That's one thing I'm really liking about Chrome now is that they now support native applications, which they hadn't done for the longest time.
right.
It's so much better. Uh,
Along with the settings interface, the new one.
Definitely, yeah. The material design at first I was kind of it doesn't, but after a couple times going through it, I was like, wow, it's a lot cleaner. It's a lot more organized.
Look, Chrome was never the prettiest. Like
No,
anything Google does is not ever pretty. It's
it's kind of
usually
just like it
bland.
works, have it.
Yeah. So it was definitely an improvement. I'm not a
Yeah,
huge material design fan, but it is definitely an improvement in what they had.
I believe so as well. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things that keeps me from using Firefox is the flags part of Chrome. The complexity of what you can manage there is just far better for my needs than.
Everybody has their own take on the browser. Like I use it for this, I use it for that. Like family members, they'll use Firefox just because there's an about config, and you can go in and set settings that you can't in Chrome. So
Yep.
you know,
I mean,
everybody
Firefox
has
is
their
getting
thing.
up there. I mean, for me, this last update was actually pretty tempting. I used it for a little while, and I'm still not convinced. But I am using it as my daily driver on my mobile. That is my browser of choice on there, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. But on the desktop, it's getting there. There's improvement that's definitely tempting me, but I'm not quite there yet.
Have you tried the Firefox Focus?
I have, yeah,
Is it any good?
and it's it looks cool. Um, it's got
Well,
like purple rainbow colors and
that's half
um,
of it.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty quick. It's very simple. Um, it does the job really well, actually. It's a little quicker, I've noticed. I guess because it's not loading all the extra scripts and plugins that it normally would have.
Right.
But it does break a few sites that I use. But
Really?
yeah,
Is that because of
um,
the ad blocking part of it, or?
certain trackers and whatnot. Yeah, and I think it blocks certain features of the web page. It doesn't do that on everything, but it just depends on how they set up their web page. Usually,
Right.
more complex web pages have that problem. Um, but for the most part, it's actually really cool. It's a little stripped down for my taste. I've been trying to get into it, but I guess it does kind of suit the privacy part. It's like using Tails, in my opinion, but
Well,
as a
do you
browser.
do you use a lot of add-ons in Firefox,
Um,
or do you just run it
on mobile,
just
not
normal?
too much. I think I have like two or three. WikiWand is probably the one that I use the most, and it's like a Wikipedia reader. Makes it all clean and less like a 1993 documentation page.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, makes it more like a book, I guess. But other than that, I think nothing serious. I use ad blockers sometimes only because when a site's just really invasive with the ads, there are certain guidelines that I'm okay with. But when something's auto playing audio or it's popping up all over the page, I just I'm done. I disable the ads. They don't honestly deserve the monetization at that point if it
Right.
becomes yeah.
Well, they're going to that new web extensions thing,
Yeah, I
so a
saw
lot of the
that.
old add-ons are not going to work, and there's a lot of people upset about that, man.
I think they have right to be upset. I can understand why they're trying to move forward and bring forth this new um, I don't know what term I want to use. I just protocol because it's an easy word to say. But at the same time, it does break a lot of legacy stuff, and extensions are, I think, a far bigger part of many people's workflow than a lot of people realize. Um, I at first didn't use many extensions, mostly on the desktop, didn't use much, and then I kept hearing more and more about it, and then I started using them, and within about a month's time, I needed those extensions. Right? They extended my workflow and my functionality to a point where I mean, without it, it's like being in the Stone Age.
Right.
It's really crucial.
Well, hold on here. I gotta send somebody a link. Um, well, there's another reason why there was an article out for the fire about Firefox and the legacy add-ons, and the guy was saying that they should sort the add-ons differently in the store because of the fact that the legacy add-ons won't work anymore.
I think that makes sense because you
So
don't want something front and center that's just not going to work.
yeah,
Um, Not only is that bad for the browser itself, because people are thinking, well, if they can't get this right, why would we? If none of the extensions, because it's bound to be more than one, right? You're going to get two or three that are just not well, and that's just off the bat. So
right.
it's not only going to affect people's impression of the extension itself, but the browser too.
Well, I don't know. Do you think they'll remove the legacy extensions altogether from
I
the
think the
add-on
point
site?
is to eventually phase it out. I think that because usually when they leave partial support, the kind of goal is to slowly phase it out. But this is a little quicker than I would have normally expected. Even something like a compatibility layer where it kind of keeps things running for a while, but maybe like a warning or something, but just kind of strip it off is a little quick. It is a little different than I was expecting.
Well, I think their warning is like now. like,
Yeah, it's like when you're driving down the road and you don't see the merge signs aren't there until you're right at the site. That's kind of how it feels. Let's see. But, I mean, it
Swift, what's going on,
works.
man?
Hello. Uh, how you doing?
Awesome.
Give me a second, real quick. Give me a second to put my headphones in.
All right.
Okay. Okay, we'll give you a second. That's all you get, a second.
Whoa. Ah,
All right.
dang.
So, did anybody get anything off of the Steam Summer Sale? Come on,
No,
Alan. You
I've
were
been
supposed
way
to
too
buy.
late.
You were supposed to buy
I
Rocket League too.
know, I know, and I'll
I
probably get
actually
it
thought
by
about
the time I
doing
get
that.
it.
I decided not to.
Why not, man?
There was nothing on there I wanted.
Well, hey, that's a good enough reason. No sense in
Yeah.
spending money if you don't want the games.
By the time I get it, it'll probably be off sale.
Well, I was pleasantly surprised about Rocket League. That's all
It's
I can say.
fun. It really is.
See, now that's a game I don't mind getting.
It's on
Um,
sale, brother. It's on sale.
um, okay.
$11.99. It's all yours.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all,
I was
actually.
waiting for it to go off sale. You know what I mean? Let me go on sale because it's been $19.99 for a long time. But
Yeah.
I just couldn't bring myself to buy it, and then I'll pay
It is really, really
back.
fun though.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I mean, that's good to hear that it's fun. I'm glad because I've seen people play it on YouTube, and I was like, oh, okay, so you're playing soccer with a car. Okay.
I'm telling you, dude, it sounds stupid. It
It
really
sounds
does. It
ridiculous.
sounds stupid to me
Well, I
because,
like
like,
stupid games, so it's fine.
well, I don't like soccer. I mean, I'm not a big fan of soccer, and it just didn't appeal to me at all. But going around, you can jump in, and they put you with people that are your skill level, and you just jump in and play. And I was having a good. I played for a couple hours yesterday. I didn't score one goal all night long, and I was having a
Mm.
blast.
See, those kinds of games are really the best. They match up the entertainment value with the objective value, which is really great.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
I mean,
other
when you can
games
get
on
that
there.
going, that's good.
There's plenty of other games on there, but that's I think something that. So okay, so they also have the Steam Link and the Steam Controller on sale for Steam
Ooh,
on Amazon.
I've
So
not
You
yet
know,
used the
even more
controller.
tempting.
I don't know.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what the Steam Link is or does. I mean,
That I'm not too sure of.
but I'm assuming that it like somehow is connects your streams your. I'm thinking if I read certain things right that it streams your games from your computer to your TV. Hold on, let me look
Wow.
this up. Let me look this
Now
up. I
that's a
gotta.
cool idea.
What is? See, this is why you Google things, because what is Steam Link? As with the Steam machine, the Steam Link is a breeze to set up. You simply plug in your TV's HDMI, connect the controller through your USB, connect your internet, Wi-Fi, and then choose your gaming computer. So yeah, I guess it kind of like links your computer to your TV.
That sounds fun.
That's
So,
pretty cool. That's cool.
but I don't have my computer in a like a game room or anything like that. So, you know, there's
I
a
don't
TV
really have a
downstairs, I
system.
think, but I don't have cable. I don't have TV, so it really doesn't pay me to
Yeah,
get
we do
any
all our stuff through the
I
internet
don't have
anyway.
cable either.
the internets.
The internet, yeah. I don't. What else do I call it, right? I download from source and compile the movies myself.
You render for 18 hours at a
Yeah.
time.
Oh, that's something I
Wow.
never want to do again, man. 33 hours is a lot of time.
Why would you do that? I mean,
Well, once I started it, I just wanted to see where it would go. And about,
33 hours.
yeah, yeah, I started regretting.
33 hours.
Yeah,
it's
Lordy,
ridiculous, man.
lordy, lordy.
it was a 43-minute video.
43-minute video, and it would took you.
Yeah.
It
That's
was-
ridiculous. Oh my gosh.
Well, so I was playing
Yeah.
around with the presets, the H.264 presets. And the thing is, because YouTube does compression, and because I'm using the NVNC encoders, it's always going to have that slight bit of graininess. So I'm playing around with the presets, I'm playing around with the encoder speeds and threading and all of that other stuff. And so I got to a point where it's guaranteed really good quality, but at a cost I'm not sure I think is worth it. So
Yeah, so Eric has a link, and he says it streams AV from the main box. So there you go.
nice.
I don't think I would have a use for it, although it is on sale if you do have a use for it. So
That actually, yeah. I think I don't know what the whole push was with the Xbox One and this whole TV thing. Like it was supposed to be a DVR or a TV stream box at the same time it was a gaming console. I don't know. The only time I ever used it was trying to get backwards compatibility with my Xbox One in the jankiest way. I had the Xbox One display going through the Xbox 360, going through the Xbox One to the TV, so I could play on my Xbox 360 through the one and have like chat compatibility. It was absolutely awful, and the delay was sad.
I've never had an Xbox One or 360 or any of them. So
I'm currently working on getting Debian up and running on my Xbox One, so
Debian.
Okay, that would be cool.
it's a fun project. It's just grinding my gears a little bit.
I mean,
So-
I've heard of putting Linux on a Wii.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I used to have a Wii.
Nintendo consoles and just hardware in general is surprisingly underpowered, yet still manages to be quite sufficient, I'd say. Quite enjoyable at the hardware. You don't run into the issues that you normally... I guess if it's all cartoon animated stuff, it doesn't matter anyway. You can always make that
Did you
work.
see the Nintendo Super Nintendo or the SNES Classic? The little
Yeah.
tiny thing that looks so
Yeah.
awesome, dude.
It
comes
did.
with
It sold
21
out
games.
instantly. Sold out instantly. It was gone.
Let's see. It has Contra 3 on it. Donkey Kong Country. That would be
Ooh.
so awesome.
That sounds great.
Earthbound, Final Fantasy 3, F-Zero, Kirby, 2 Kirbys, Legend of Zelda, Mega Man, Star Fox and Star Fox 2, Street Fighter 2, yeah. Super Mario Kart, Super Metroid, Super Punch
Oh
Out.
yeah.
Yeah, it has some good stuff on there, man.
Okay, I've
And
got
it's
a
like the palm of your hand size.
yeah, I've got a totally fanboy out here. Mario Kart is my jam. I don't
Oh,
care. Mario Kart's always my favorite thing to play.
I used to love Mario Kart.
Just
I used to love it.
best
But
way to burn a friendship.
I, I liked Mario World too. That was a big fan.
That was fun. That was really fun. I was lucky enough to play all of these, even though I wasn't born when a lot of them were out, or I wasn't old enough to even handle some of them. But I was lucky enough to get them after the fact when it was about 2013. I got my hands on a whole bunch of them.
Oh wow.
So you have to
I
have.
was I was
Shane says you. Go ahead, man.
I was playing the Super Nintendo back in the early '90s.
Oh
That
yeah.
was fun. I mean, that's all we had. I mean, so
Yeah.
when it's all you have and you don't have all these fantastic graphics and 3D stuff, I mean, you appreciate it more and you use your mind more. It's not
Yeah.
just everything's given to you. You got to actually, get into it. And
I
I really
appreciated it
appreciate that
actually. It was
time for that
actually
reason.
really, it was a really fun experience, honestly.
Well, here's
That's
the
cool.
link, Swift, for that Super NES. That's like it's like the palm of your hand style.
Wow. Huh? That's amazing.
So Shane says you have to have a gigabit box to take advantage of the link's full capability.
I
Okay.
could see that.
That's crazy.
I was looking into the new routers, modems, or whatever. Um, it's
Only
60
$80.
gigahertz band. It's
What is it?
60 gigahertz wireless. So right now we've got like the 2.4 band, which is the slower one, and then the 5 gigahertz. And
Right.
so there's a new one which is AD something, and it's 60 gigahertz.
And what is
And
the 5?
the 5 is what we're currently using on most of the higher end, newer devices. But essentially, it's a higher wavelength, so you'll get a faster, stronger signal. But the issue it has is because it's a higher frequency, um, obstacles kind of trip it up a little more. You've got shorter wavelengths, and so even something as simple as a cardboard box will block the signal and stuff like that.
Right.
So they're working on it, but it looks really promising.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that you, Rob? In here? You got audio at least.
Kind of, maybe.
I think that's Rob, but I don't hear no audio. So. Well, did you guys hear about the Modern Warfare Remastered
I did
standalone?
not know.
Well, you had to buy they remastered Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and you had to buy the deluxe edition of Infinite Warfare to get this. But now they're releasing remastered as a standalone game that you got to pay $40, dude. I mean, like, you got to be kidding me. I mean,
But people will buy it.
that people will buy it because hey, it was one of the best Call of Duty games in the series. But don't you think that they should? Hey, there's Ski. Hi, Ski.
How you doing, Rocco?
And he's moving.
And you're not standing still. I
No.
take it that you're not using the Edge browser.
No, I'm back on Antergos.
Are
Oh,
you? Nice.
Nice.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's just the greatest.
Oh, that was me.
Well, anyway,
Sorry about
they're they should, for the people that have already purchased Modern Warfare when they came out, when it was new years ago, if you have a legitimate copy, they should give you like a half price deal. Like it should be $20 for people who bought the original game.
It would make sense, honestly, but I think they just want the money, to be honest.
Well, of course.
Yeah, it's a business. It always is, man. Always about the money.
All right. I need to move up from Ubuntu since they're getting away from Unity. Okay, so Eric is asking, I need to move up from Ubuntu since they're getting away from Unity, which he's a huge fan of, and want to know what you recommend to switch to.
This is interesting because I was in the same boat when they first made the move away from Unity, the announcement. I was thinking, well, I don't really feel comfortable just using Ubuntu anymore because it doesn't have the same feel. It's not as unified, pardon the pun. But I just started using the alpha release of the GNOME edition and understanding how much you can sort of customize it. It kind of was similar, but I would probably personally go with something as strange as it is, like Mint, maybe. If
Well,
you
he
really want to get
requires
away,
Compass, so
does he not?
he's a big fan of Unity, but he requires Compass. And Eric, don't worry about it that it's off topic. It's all good.
Doesn't
But
Mate?
Rocco, don't forget, it's hardware related too.
Yes,
It's like
I
if you
know.
like me on an ATI Radeon, don't go Ubuntu.
They've got Mate. Mate has some Compass stuff, don't they? They've
Yep.
got Marco, and then they've got Compass, and then they've got.
But you gotta have NVIDIA, right, Rocco?
Well, it doesn't have to,
I
but
don't think so.
To work
I'm
right.
thinking. I don't remember if, because me personally, I'm really considering running Budgie as a daily driver, and I don't remember if you can do Compass on Budgie or
It's a
not.
desktop.
I don't remember seeing.
On top
Yeah.
of what, Rocco?
Ubuntu, man. Ubuntu Budgie or Solus. I mean, look. I mean,
Okay.
if Ike comes out with this, he's talking about this whole.
You must have NVIDIA.
Yes,
Well,
I do.
you can't get that to work on a ATI, like mine.
That's because you have to upgrade, Ski.
What are you talking about? I don't need to upgrade.
Ski, we go through this every week.
Doesn't that? It works. It works. Fluid.
But I don't know. I'm really considering
Hi,
running.
Rob.
If
Hello.
if Ike, there's Rob. What's going on, man?
Well, Chromium didn't want to do it tonight, so it
Oh,
switched over to
What?
Chrome, and it worked no problem.
welcome back to the freedom of proprietary software.
Whatever
That's right.
works, right?
That's right. Ski, I heard you say earlier you're back on the Terragos GNOME, and that's exactly what I loaded
I
up.
love it too much. Rob, I can't go away from it.
It's
And I'm
awesome,
using
isn't it?
Chromium. You could get Chromium to work?
Not well. Chromium works. It's just not working with Appear-In.
Oh, that's what I'm on right now.
Okay. So who do we have in the lower left here? I don't think we've met.
That's Swift.
Swift. Hello, Swift.
You're Swift?
No, Rob's not Swift.
I think everybody's lower left is a bit different from.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Appearing,
Rob
you
said
can
it,
change,
not me.
with Appearing, you can
Yeah, I'm
change where the
Swift.
windows are.
Oh, I see.
Cat?
I'm Swift.
He's a
Hello,
regular
Swift.
in the Telegram channel, Rob.
Okay. Very good. Very
I'm
good.
Ski.
Ski, you're in the lower right.
That's funny.
He has been watching.
Who's on first?
Oh man.
All
I
right.
remember you in the middle. Well, you're my middle right. It was the first time I seen you. You were in a windstorm when you were doing a live cast with us.
Oh yeah. I was.
You're a developer, aren't you?
Not professionally.
I remember you were trying to diss that last time. Yeah, you are.
Well, Colin said that he would wait a bit longer for Budgie because the amount of changes coming from the Google Plus page from
Seems everything
and
is
Solus.
changing right now.
There's some good changes coming down the line, but really, if Ike gets this whole, now he mentioned it, I don't know how far along he is or anything like that, but if he gets this deb converter type thing working where you can install a deb file on Solus, oh my gosh, I'm there all the way, man.
Well, that'll really open it up, and it's just so interesting that you're talking about this because as of about an hour ago, I set up the Budgie desktop on Terragos.
Did you?
Wow.
and it's flawless.
Rob,
Nice.
thank you once again for all the videos you've done. You've been really busy lately. I've watched all of them, and you're
Awesome.
the best.
Thanks,
I
man.
love you, man. I love your videos. No shy to Rocco. I mean, you guys, you're good too.
It's all good, man.
Let me tell you. And when you guys are together, it's great.
Good.
But
Thank you.
in Tergos, Rob, we gotta keep beating the drum, right or wrong. Every
absolutely.
desktop works.
Yep, it absolutely works. And so, and I'm rendering right now the video ski on adding the Budgie desktop to Antergos, and it's the first time I've ever done it. And guys, I didn't know what to expect. You know, it could have come in and been half baked. You know, it could have been missing applets and things like that.
But they pulled through.
Everything pulled through. I mean, it's like a seamless experience. The only thing I had to do was add the arc theme, so it gave it that, you know, real soulless budgie look, you know, with the arc theme, and it's awesome.
But isn't the greatest part? This is what I want to point out. Antergos makes it so easy. You could have one Antergos installation and have multiple boot-ins for each desktop, right or wrong.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Isn't that wonderful?
Debian does that too.
Oh,
yeah, it's great.
come on.
Well, there's a question in the chat, Alan, for you. They want to know how you're installing Debian on an Xbox.
USB. No, I've got it.
And Xbox is
I've got it.
basically a computer.
I've got it plugged into my laptop when I'm doing it. It's essentially I keep the hard drive itself. I take that out of the Xbox and I work on that, and I essentially try, because it's not the most standard hardware. So essentially, I take the hard drive out and I essentially put it into either my laptop or my desktop, because it's a standard connector. And I just do it from there. It's kind of like Arch, except, of course, Debian. It's pretty simple. I'm actually running into a few snags myself, though, as soon as I say it's simple. And a lot of the snags that I'm having is just managing. Surprisingly, I didn't think it would be, but the display is the issue that I'm having. I'm not getting it to essentially kick in the GPU, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I keep getting a whole bunch of errors thrown and trying to work around that. But I also need more documentation, so.
I need to know what Swift is on right now. Look at him.
Yeah, he's out there. He's hiking around. So I thought you were going to say you had to install it through a Mac or something like that.
No, I mean, it's a little hacky, I guess, in terms of it's not a one-click install type thing. But I've had a lot of help from people who have made packages for the Xbox 360. There's an Xbox 360 Linux project or something like that, but a few of those have actually helped me out. I haven't looked into any of them for the Xbox One, though. So it may be a little easier than I think it is, but yeah.
So Budgie's running good, Rob?
Yeah, I can't believe it. I just, like I said, you don't know what to expect when you do this. But the outcome so far has been flawless, really.
Can I ask you, Rob, your honest opinion?
Yep.
Because I know you've tried each desktop flavor. Can you give me your ultimate decision?
Oh,
that's a tough one, man.
That's a question.
I don't envy you that.
Oh my goodness, Ski! I'd like send you a check to take that question back, man. Oh gosh.
I know it's the toughest question, but we're all going to ask it.
Well, here's what I will say. I'll put it this way. For me, Antergos is the best GNOME experience that I've had on any distro. It's so easy to just.
You're dodging my question.
No. It's so easy to obtain all the extensions and everything through Antergos because the AUR makes everything's wide open. It's all just there,
I know.
So, gosh, that is so tough. Okay. All right. So let's do process of elimination. It's not so hot for XFCE because it's just kind of plain vanilla XFCE. There's not a lot in place there for XFCE. It's not, for me, the best cinnamon experience. So I'm going to eliminate those two. As much as I enjoy XFCE, I'm just going to knock those two. So I will narrow it down to, and it's not the best mate experience that I've had. Of course, Ubuntu mate for me is
Rob,
the best. Yeah.
I don't want to, before you get too far, remember my original question.
Yeah.
Regardless of distribution and base, what is your favorite desktop?
So I'm narrowing it down to two. KDE and GNOME. KDE and GNOME.
KDE and GNOME?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, but next week, if you ask me, Ski, I'm liable to say XFCE and Budgie.
How about you, Rocco? All you guys, what's your favorite desktop or desktop environment?
I guess it would depend on what time you ask me, because there are times where I really love KDE.
What time you got, Rob?
And there's really times I hate KDE. And when I go back to it, like, did you know, Ski, that I got Manjaro KDE installed? Did you know?
I tried installing Manjaro because I was all excited. Sudo Rebo came out. Hey, we got a new. Guess what? It didn't work on my AMD.
Well, I got Manjaro KDE installed. So I just, like I said, was messing around with KDE, and everything comes back to you as you're running it, as you're using it, and some really good things about it. And there's really, some of those things that irk you, and I don't have that problem in GNOME. I can't say that I like GNOME better, but I don't have the same issues I have with KDE.
I have a specific one that annoys me with KDE, and it's when you've got Telegram installed and something like Discord or something pops up and you go to click on the notification, it'll just open Telegram. Sometimes clicking on a notification will open the wrong window. So I'll open up a notification from Chrome on YouTube, and it'll open up OBS. I've had that issue on quite a few machines, and I've not been able to suss it out. And I've never had that with GNOME.
Well, these issues that we talk about, here's something I'm going to just open up tonight, okay? I'm just going to
Devil's advocate.
open right up here.
Throw it out there, man.
Get out, Rob. You're not going to.
You know what's sad? What's sad and what I'm guilty of? So, like in Windows, right? So if you have a problem, you just have to figure it out because you don't really have any other choice. If you're a Windows user, you've got to figure it out. But with Linux, we've got all this choice. So what's really sad is I'll run into the smallest of problems, and I'll go, "Oh, that's it. I'm switching over to GNOME." Then you have a problem on GNOME. Oh, I'm done with this. I'm going to go over to XFCE.
Yes, but there are deal breakers, man. There are deal breakers. There's there's little annoyances, and then there's deal breakers. You just can't deal with that.
Guys, I got a problem because now it's like, okay, that icon's out of scale. That's it. I'm done. I'm going over to GNOME.
But GNOME always fixes that.
Well, I'm telling you, look, I mean, okay, I was so excited for the sound settings in KDE to come out in 5.10, and you can change the default sound. Yeah, like in the menu, in the sound applet, you can change from your default thing with just clicking the hamburger and hitting default for a different output that you have.
I'm showing how to do that.
And
you're excited about that?
Dude, that is like one of the best features, new features that came out in 5.10, man. I'm sorry. If you switch outputs often, if you switch outputs often, it's going to be a great help. If you don't, and you have one output, like you have a speaker set up or you have a headphones, you ain't going to, who cares? Because all you got is one.
Are you talking to Swift?
No, I'm talking to you.
Oh, me? Look, I got no problem now. I'm back on my Intergos, right? I got video, I got sound, I got real time.
So I was trying it out, and 2 times it had a graphics reset while I was checking it out, and I'm like, This is
Oh,
what irks me
I've been
about,
getting that too.
NVIDIA.
it irks me about KDE because it's like it's such a great feature that they added, and you start using it and boom, it crashes the desktop. So, but I don't have that problem in GNOME. You know what I mean? Like half of the problems that I have in KDE or more, more than half, I don't have in GNOME. And I really don't like GNOME more than KDE. I like KDE better. But it just frustrates me to no end that it just works in GNOME. And I'm like, okay, I've been on this
You're
install
a closet gnome liker.
dude, I've been on this install for almost a
Admit it.
month. Can
Get
you
off
believe
it,
that?
okay? You like gnome.
I do like GNOME. I do.
Admit
But
it.
whether I like it better than KDE, I can't say that.
We're gonna get
Go
you
that
one day,
far?
Rocco. We're gonna pull you over.
Yeah. This isn't the Inquisition.
Oh man.
I'm on the hot seat. No.
I think we should all just switch to OpenBox.
That's it right there.
Be done with
Overbox
it.
is a lot of fun.
Dude, I installed. I didn't install it. I actually had a problem with Arch Labs. I couldn't get it installed, and I probably can get it installed now because it was actually
Are you a noob?
it was actually the same issue I had with Manjaro. So maybe if Arch Labs updates their installer, maybe I won't have that issue. But I did run it on the live CD or the USB, and that is way different, man. That is something to get used to.
Well, but I'll tell you what, Rocco, man, you jump in there. It is so fast when you got it installed because OpenBox is just so light. It's so fast.
It is. But you see that Eric Dubois, which I watched on your show,
Right.
he's mentioning about the i3 desktop.
Oh, yeah.
What's so funny, Rocco?
Because the chat's blowing up about the fact that I like no. Like I said, I like GNOME because it works, dude. I mean, like,
Wow.
I don't have half these
Is there
problems.
like a lag here with subject? Banner?
Well, since it's out now, Rocco, I wasn't going to tell you this, but KDE
Yeah.
called, and man, she's like upset. She's been missing you.
Well, maybe she should fix her problems, and we wouldn't have the issues. It's
Yeah,
all
she
her
said you
fault.
don't call her, you don't bring her flowers anymore, man. I mean, she is.
Well, she stopped being nice to me, Rob. You know what I mean? She's got to hassle me all the time about everything. And
Is she
you
the
know, you
one
just
that
get tired of it
But
after
you
a
know
while.
what's so bad about this? Since you've neglected her, she's calling me all the time now.
I
dude.
wonder why his hair's getting so long.
Oh man.
I know, Chip. I know. It's Katie.
And
Look,
you know, it wouldn't be so bad if it was just KDE calling me, Rocco. But now her cousin XFCE has been calling.
Yeah, well, hey, look, you were dodging XFCE there for a while too. So
XFC got an update.
What?
What? No, that doesn't
You
exist.
guys see?
well, I have 16 gigabytes of RAM, Eric. That's why I don't mind though, because I'm using 2.5 gigabytes of memory. But who cares? Because I got 16. So
I'm actually buying bread with crust on it now.
now Ski, on the other hand, he only has like 12 megabytes, I think.
Get the hell out of here. I got a serious situation, serious system here. This baby is the best. Let me tell you
It's
something.
cooking, huh?
It's got 8 cores. It's
Yeah.
a dull
8 cores at 1.9 gigahertz is not good, Ski, just so you know.
2.67.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's serious, you know. It's only like 7 years old.
That's it.
Let me tell you something.
That's like dog years, dude. 49 or something like that.
Oh, wait, yeah, wait. This is turning into pick on me night.
Hey, Ski,
You started it, man.
I've got a serious question for you. So you're running Interrogus GNOME. What's your favorite extension?
My favorite extension is the one that turns the top. Which one is it? The one
Top
that,
Icons Plus?
what?
Top Icons Plus?
Plus, yeah, to get out of the bottom left. But my favorite one is actually the one that turns it. Let me check what it is. It turns the top bar transparent.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. It's
That's my favorite because I have my whole left, the default GNOME application launcher on the left.
yeah.
Is all I have it set to clear.
Right.
So then when I turn the top bar to clear, it's like, you know what? The only thing that's got color is the active window I have, which is actually you 4 clowns and Swift. Oh, I'm sorry. 3. I don't know who's the clown. I'm the clown here.
Well, so has anybody tried Pop OS?
Not yet.
After watching your video, I downloaded it, but I haven't tried
Did
it
you?
yet.
What's Swift doing?
He's in a train, I think.
He's like doing something. I don't know. I think he's just listening, actually.
I hope he's all right.
So there's going to be a lot of people that are, strong opinions on either side of this whole Pop OS thing because, most people don't like wallpaper respins, as they call them, or something like that. But it has 3 extensions installed by default. One of them is user themes. One of them is the suspend button, to add the suspend button to the menu, and the other one was the sound, the better sound extension. So there's 3 extensions installed by default without dash to dock. So there you go.
Oh wow! No dash to dock.
No dash to dock.
So you checked out the prelim version of their OS. To me, I say yes. System 76, Penguin, all the hardware manufacturers that want to make hardware for Linux, if they want to create their own system, amen. Guess what? You know why they're doing that? They're probably looking at the hardware we're supplying. How can we best integrate this OS to work with it? I'm all for that. I want the end product. I want a matched hardware and software solution like 76 is talking about. I think this OS, you know what I mean? I think that's in that line. I hope it's not just for monetary
it's always
in the future. I'm hoping it's a match, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what we want. We want a hardware manufacturer that's designing their hardware to work with the software, right or wrong.
I think my biggest gripe is the timing.
Other than Windows, thank you. Microsoft, thank you.
What's your biggest gripe, Alan?
The timing. I don't, it seems a bit in line with Ubuntu dropping Unity and going with GNOME. And that was my red flag, was kind of the timing. And I'm definitely hopeful for it. If they're going to do this, I want it to succeed for the better of everything. But it kind of threw me off guard a little. I was a little, I don't know, just doesn't give off the best vibes. It feels like we need something else other than Ubuntu because we're not sure where they're going right now. Which is fine if they can guarantee a consistent path for their platform, which is their laptops, their hardware, and whatnot. But yeah, I think it did throw up a few red flags for me. But in terms of the OS itself, I mean, if they can maintain it properly, functionally, that's probably not a word. Then, I mean, sure, I'll be happy with it, and it's something that I'm definitely going to try. I've downloaded the ISO, and it's probably still really early on anyway, so there's a lot to see. But the timing is what got me.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the timing, I guess it's a gamble for the timing, because it could be good and it could be bad, because we still don't know exactly what Ubuntu's going to do with GNOME themselves.
I have an idea.
Go ahead.
I have an idea, which you guys are going to have to unplug, because this is not thinking like you're thinking. Maybe that's why you're not catching it. I think that maybe because they are thinking ahead, which they have been doing for how long? Ubuntu's been setting the stage, outside of Debian, which is the same thing, whatever. But they've been setting the stage in the Linux, growth world for how long? And they've always been the same steady package forever. No change, right or wrong. Ubuntu, this is our, nothing's ever changed. Maybe they just said, hey, you know what? We're being taken to granted take it for granted. We haven't changed anything, you know, since Ford said you can have one color car, you know, and that's it. Maybe we got to change it up, mix it up a bit.
But why would they base it off of Ubuntu if that was the case? I mean, it's pretty closely tied.
Because maybe they wanted more feedback. Like, hey, we don't want to pick what they think we're going to pick. Let's pick something that stirs some controversy and gets them interested in talking about us again. Makes us, you know, relevant. I don't know.
Interesting outlook.
I'm just thinking.
Rob, Shane wants to know your thoughts on it.
You can't say they're not smart people there.
What's that, Rocco?
Shane wants to know what your thoughts on it, and do you think they should start fresh and build their own custom desktop environment?
Oh dear. Just you sold this.
No, it's interesting. Well, first of all, I think I will encourage anyone who wants to introduce their own OS, whether it's a spin or whether it's just, you know, in this case where it looks like they're taking the Ubuntu base and adding a few extensions that they feel like should be in place. I don't really want to. I don't want to stop that. I would say, you know, they may get into something where they tweak things and set things up a certain way that I've never thought about before. And so if I get to experience that operating system and realize by the way they set it up that, hey, this is a good way to do this, then that's a positive thing. So, you know, to just kind of stick my head in the sand and say, no, not another spin. I don't want to see that. I think that kind of stifles creativity. Should they make their own, like just dump Ubuntu and start from scratch? Is that what the question was?
Are you running for election?
No. No.
Doesn't he sound like a politician? I would vote for him no matter what he's running for.
Oh my gosh.
So the rest of the question was, should they make their own, meaning like just start from scratch?
Yeah, should they start from scratch and make their own desktop environment?
I'd say go for it. Go for it.
Well, you have to have a lot of resources or a lot of time or somebody like Ike in order to create your own desktop environment. So I don't think they're in it for that.
Is it the new Swift?
No, that is Colin. What's going on, man?
Colin?
Can anyone hear me? Or
how you doing?
Yes.
Yep, we can hear you.
Sure. Okay.
Colin, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, Rob.
So what do you think, Colin, of Pop OS?
What do I think of Pop OS?
Yeah.
How are you guys? I don't know who the young bloke is, Alan. I know Ski's seen him around, but I don't know who Alan is. Not sure.
Alan is a regular in our Telegram group.
Alan is the young one of the group.
Where are you?
Well, Pop OS, I've only just seen it this morning watching one of your videos this morning, Rocco.
Well, what do you think of the concept of them making a respin?
Well, I'll have to...
Oh, Pop OS.
My mic feed is repeating on me. Anything I can do about that? I keep hearing myself.
You may have to mute the YouTube live stream part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, just a moment. I'm a noob at this. I haven't done this before.
It's all good, man. Soon you'll be a professional like Ski.
I don't.
Yeah,
that has nothing to do with my abilities. I made a weak moment. I ventured back to Windows 10 because I missed my games, and nothing worked on that.
Ski.
Hey, Ski, that happened to be the one episode where I jumped in, and you were having just so many struggles. I felt bad for you, buddy, because
it was terrible. I was on Windows.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That explains it.
Blows.
That explains it.
Yeah, I think it's probably not a bad idea for System 76 to make their own OS to absolutely make it suit their laptops and whatever computers they're putting out. Probably makes sense, but there's so many distros out now, though, isn't there?
Yep.
He's agreeing with me.
Well, there's a lot of people that get upset about it because it's just another wallpaper respin. And all they did was take Ubuntu GNOME and add a theme and add a wallpaper to it. And
But Rocco,
that
aren't
doesn't
they
make a
doing
distro.
something with the software base itself to better suit their hardware?
Well, who knows what their plans
Don't
are,
they do
what
that
they're going to
anyway?
do with it. But right now, pretty much all they did was, and it's true, all they did was fiddle with some of the extensions, add a theme, and the icon set. So people are right away. People get upset about that because it's
It
like,
gives
oh
them
my
room
gosh.
to
Just
grow,
talking
though.
about it.
And I don't think it's about, I don't think it's about being a respin or anything like that. If it's a company and their companies out there, they're to make money, okay, and their brand name is what they're all about. So if they can get their brand name on a distro, more power to them. So I don't know. I'm not one of those guys that are upset about it, but I've been in other Telegram chats today, and it's just lighting up with people
It's been
flaming
insane.
them because they're doing it. It's like
Well, I read
ridiculous.
the article that they came out with, the company themselves came out with, and I don't buy that. I mean, I think it's people jumping on, making their own opinions about things they shouldn't be making opinions about. The same kind of stuff that makes Ubuntu so mad, Bob. But
Well, what I'd like to know is how many of those people that are so upset about it are buying System 76 computers.
That's a good question.
Exactly.
And so if you're not, why are you so up in arms over it?
yes,
What's it bothering you?
and why
Well-
wouldn't you want a hardware supplier to customize the software to work better with it?
Right.
How is that a losing? How is that a bad thing?
Well,
You can
some of
always
the
buy it
argument
too.
is that they're taking their resources, and instead of putting it into the community, into say helping out GNOME further, they're taking their resources and applying them somewhere else. So it's not benefiting anybody except them. But I don't think that holds any. I don't think that holds any water because it's a business, and it does benefit them.
What?
The other thing is they're still maintaining open source software, right? They've
Yeah,
probably
you're
going
right.
to push patches upstream. They're not just going to leave it hanging. They're going to contribute in one way or another.
Yep. So we'll have to
Well,
wait and see.
I think I don't know if anyone follows Jacques Rama from Markulu Linux. He seems to be on a
Yes.
good thing, whereas
Jacques,
he's
yes.
actually implementing where you can actually change the desktop rather than make another distro. So, and I don't know if you've followed what he's been up to, but it looks like quite a very good concept for Linux. Whereas instead of making a distro spin all the time, you run the script, it changes the desktop completely. So you install a vanilla XFCE, say for example, you run the script and it puts his XFCE into it. So instead of making his own distro, he's made a script to change it to completely Markulu Linux. So that's quite a great idea.
Isn't that what Mint does?
And
So-
Tergos.
So
No,
that
no,
would mean
no,
you would have to have like XFCE installed, and then you would just run the script and it would install and it would change it the way it wants to, correct?
It would change to the Markulu Linux XFCE and it puts a skin on top of it and makes it look and it runs the Markulu Linux desktop.
I think
That's what
I
he's
like
been
that
doing.
idea.
That's pretty
I think
neat.
that's a good concept.
Yep.
Jacques has done a great job, but he's undermanned. I mean, he hasn't done an update. He's
Yeah.
still, I think, 3.16 kernel. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not sure what kernel he's up to. I haven't
I
been
am.
sort of keeping tabs on that. I've just been watching his videos and his concepts and what he's been up to. And he
He's,
seems to be struggling for funds all the time, which is a big issue for him, too, I believe.
So I wonder how much of the people that are up in arms over this, I wonder if they would react the same if Rocco, let's say you and I got together and said, okay, we're going to pick out our favorite extensions and we're going to set it up the way we would use it. And we'll throw in our own Destination Linux wallpaper and our own theme coloring. And we'll create a spin called Destination Linux.
Right.
How many people would be upset that,
I'm
hey,
going to be totally upset with that.
so, would they be upset at two guys that just decided to create a spin versus a company who decided, to do it? So,
I
Well,
think it's a good concept as long as you and Rob have your picture as a background would be good.
But look, you're always. It's okay to, for me, in my opinion, I'm listening to all the people talk. I'm watching the Telegram blade up and everything. And to me, it's okay to not want to consider it a full-blown distro. Okay, if you have this idea that it's not a full-blown distro because it's just a wallpaper respin.
What are we talking about? What's
that to me is okay if you want to think that way, but to have all, I mean, there is some
Swift
serious,
is back.
Yeah, Swift is back running. There's some serious hatred, really, in the Telegram groups and in the Linux community for this. I mean, you wouldn't believe all the comments about how much this is ridiculous. It's
what
stupid.
Is Telegram?
It's something of a modern age.
I don't know what you guys are watching. I don't really watch all these telegrams and stuff. I just watch my favourite YouTubers, so I don't really get to see all those comments because that's really getting into the depths of Linux, isn't it, when you're watching all these other things? I don't know what Rocco's watching.
So, Colin, I'm going to throw up a scenario here. You've just purchased your first System 76 PC computer.
Oh, now I'm broke.
Okay. So you get it in and you decide that you don't like Pop OS. Colin, what do you do?
I normally do. I just find the smallest thing wrong and say, this is not right, and I'll install something else that might work.
Bingo.
Exactly.
Bingo. Yep. Problem solved, right?
Do that with a Windows computer.
So that's where I guess I get lost in why are people so upset? Why the angst over it?
Choice.
You know,
we all run Linux as a choice, and I think we run what we want to run. I've got to the point where I've put actually just I used to use a separate home partition. Now I just have a different data partition. Then I add it to the FS tab.
Yep.
And then I can just install anything I want to the main partition and just hop as much as I like. I've just relink all my documents and download stuff, and away I go. So that's the best way. So I can just install whatever I like. So if something goes wrong, just reinstall.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the beauty of Linux. There's so many different flexibilities that you can use. If you're fed up with or you're bored with one distro, I'd like to see a distro like Zorin has all these different desktops. It'd be nice to have a distro that can do what Zorin does. I don't like the way they're themed and stuff. So
right,
it's a nice distro. All distros are nice, but it'd be nice if they can incorporate different desktops. You can just change instead of distro hopping all the time.
Jeez,
well, and that's kind of what I did tonight on Interrogos. I had GNOME all set up with all my favorite extensions because I really went through and I just did a video, with showing all the different layouts you could do within GNOME. And then I thought, oh, cool. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And so I thought, hey, the one desktop it's really missing is Budgie, and the install was super easy. And I was just telling the guys before you came on, Colin, it runs great. It's just the way Budgie should be. And so if you could do that with KDE, but that's where you start to run into problems because now you've gone from GTK to Qt and you start to run into issues. Right. But it would be, it would just feed guys like Rocco and I and all of you guys who do all this hopping anyway. It would just, it's like,
I've been on Solus for about 6 months now, so I really like the Solus OS is really good, and I use Budgie. But I've got a tablet with me now. It's an Asus EP121, I think. It's my boss's tablet, and I thought he would be the last person I could get on Linux. I put Solus GNOME on there. It's been running well for a while, but he doesn't do updates. And his Bluetooth stopped working. So now I brought it home. I did the updates. It's at 788 megabytes, and then it wouldn't actually boot. It got to a TTY screen, and I couldn't even type in it. So I couldn't even enter the.
Couldn't access the command line.
So now I'm hopping on this thing, and Bluetooth seems to be an issue at the moment. Anyone having problems with Bluetooth? I just can't get it to connect. Yeah. I don't know why. He's got a headset there. That's his main feature, his headset, and he wants his Bluetooth headset working. And I've gone on Linux Mint, Cinnamon. I'm currently on GNOME, Ubuntu GNOME 1604.2, and the headset it works, and then as soon as you restart, it's not working. So I don't know. That's happening with all known desktops at the moment. I don't know why.
Not mine.
It's doing my head in at the moment. I don't know what to use. I might have Solus in because he's running Solus 9. That was running great until some point. But if you don't, it's like a semi-rolling release, isn't it? Solus.
It is.
So
Yep,
if you don't keep up to date with your updates, it could break something because they're always updating the kernel, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's strong opinions on every side.
Of what, Rocco?
Of what distro you can run on which hardware. Okay, so, you know, Colin's having problems with GNOME, but yet Solus runs great. So it's just, everybody has their own thing as far as what hardware they're running and what's going to work with their software or whatever. I can do a video on a certain distro, and Rob can do a video on it, and we can have two completely different outcomes.
Yeah.
Manjaro
Absolutely.
KDE, to be exact, is a perfect example of it. So,
Okay.
So what does it all mean, Castle?
Operating system has to suit the hardware. That's what it is.
Well, and then you get into the kernel, and it depends on what kernel is being used with that particular distro. You know, and that has to do, again, of course, with the relationship to the age of the hardware and video cards and everything. So you've got a lot of variables there to take into account.
When I was first,
I still just say we've got it so good today compared to 10 years ago. It's just
definitely.
Absolutely.
But when I was first tinkering with Ryzen, I couldn't run Ubuntu. I couldn't run Linux Mint. I couldn't run. I couldn't even run Solus for the first, I think, week or so. I had to run. I think it was straight Arch, and I had to actually pull in the most recent kernel as soon as it was available, and it was an absolute nightmare. But it was fixed. It was so quick that we got a kernel that was able to support it. And on a lot of platforms, usually the Arch-based ones get them pulled in quicker, but I mean, it was fixed and it was ready to go and at least supported for the most basic features in an absolutely remarkable amount of time. So, I mean, some things go a little slower than others, and it's really curious to see stuff like that.
Yep, it really is. Ski, you got you a more comfortable chair there. It looks like a gaming chair.
It is. I've had it for 2.5 years now.
Nice.
Nice.
I'm noticing.
I've got an office chair that I've had for a couple years, and it sounds like it was made in the 1800s. It's just the worst, creaky, old thing ever. I'm like, how in 2 years did this happen?
I just happened to figure out the multi-tab function, so I can now check out what they're talking about me and what you guys are talking about. So,
We're talking about that PC you got there, man.
look who's here.
Carl, what's going on, man?
Not too much.
Carl man is here. How you doing?
Hey, Carl.
Happy Friday.
So it sounds like you guys are having a good discussion there regarding pop.
Yep.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, man?
Coming from a guy who uses GNOME all the time, and who doesn't care about System 76. I think they're too expensive. I don't like Ubuntu, and I really don't even like the theming that they came up with. I think good for System 76. I think Ubuntu kind of pulled the rug out from under them, and they had to come up with something. So they took their operating system and they they expanded their brand image with it.
Exactly.
That's a good point Carl brings up. They did change the Unity desktop too. So yeah, that is a very good point he brings up, I must say.
That was their primary operating system.
Yeah.
And that was all their support was based off of that, and then it was just gone. So they had to, I'm sure they saw what Ubuntu was doing and saw what the vanilla GNOME experience was going to look like, and they said no. So I would have done the same thing.
Yep.
That pop theme was originally on Solus in the very early stages, actually, that Evo Pop it was called.
Well, you can't give
Seems
up.
like I'd heard that before, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Evo Pop is different though. Because
Evo Pop was different. So, okay.
yeah, Pop theme was actually a forked from Adapta, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
The Adapta theme was the original, and then they forked it into Pop. So,
Hey, Rocco, I'm going to change up the subject, and I'm going to tell on myself because Carl's involved in this, and he knows what I'm about to talk about.
do it.
So, Rocco, who
Yes.
made the Linux is Everywhere T-shirt?
Michael Tennell.
Michael Tennell. Right.
That's right.
And I knew that.
You knew that.
I knew that. Yeah, I absolutely knew that. But out of the blue, in my head, it was artwork from our buddy Carl here. So I sent him this email. Hey, Carl, guess what T-shirt I got? I can't wait to get it, man. Blah, blah, blah. So I know Carl's thinking on the other end, Rob's lost his mind. Why is he telling me about his T-shirt? Right, Carl?
I wasn't sure what you were talking about.
he was just gonna run with it, dude.
He's afraid to reply. He's like, Rob's lost his mind.
Wearing a T-shirt. Can we buy this?
What's that?
Michael
What's that,
did a
Ski?
great job on him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, I was just associating the artwork with you, Carl, and so that's why I was so happy to tell you about my new T-shirt.
Yeah.
What's it look like, Rob?
It's gray, and it says Linux is everywhere with tux on it. So,
Can you show it to us?
it's not in yet. It's not in yet.
Oh, where is it?
I hope to have it with by the time we do the next Destination Linux podcast.
Ooh,
So,
exciting.
Are they going to be up for sale?
well, they had them for sale. Rocco, how does that work? Do you know how it was set up? It was like a period of time you could buy it.
Yeah, I don't know how it's set up, but he set it up for a certain amount of time to
Who's he?
purchase the T-shirts, and I think he actually extended it. He said he was
Okay.
coming on actually, so he
Who's
may
he?
be able to explain it. a
Michael
bit more.
Tennell?
He was here last week talking.
Captain?
I'm sorry, what?
You talking about the captain and Tennell?
Oh my gosh.
What are you talking about?
Anyway, I think he extended it actually so people could still purchase it, but then once the time limit is reached, whatever is sold gets
Yeah.
ordered and then shipped. So.
Perfect.
So, Carl, you need to think about that, bro. You really do.
I do.
I'm thinking about it.
Dude, you know what good artwork would be on T-shirts that you could come up with, man? That you would be a
Don't
millionaire,
tell us,
man.
Rocco.
I'm telling you, you'd be a millionaire.
Ooh.
Carl, what, Ski? Are you in the same conversation as we are, or what?
You're killing me, Rocco.
No, he's still thinking about. He's
I
still
know.
thinking about.
Carl's the artist here.
He's still thinking about Captain and
You're killing me
Tennille.
with your humor.
Mm-hmm.
My eyes are burning.
Not an artist. Not an artist.
Oh, yeah, you are, Carl. I've seen your artwork. It's beautiful.
And color. That's all I do.
Genius. Pure
Yeah,
genius.
yes, but it's the eye for that moving them shapes around and the color. That's the key.
Or I guess. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Well, if you ever decide to do it, Carl, count me in, man.
Okay, you got it.
Yep.
No, Eric, there is no money in T-shirts or podcasts, as he says.
That's right. No money in T-shirts or podcast. So true.
We'll vouch for that.
So true.
But as you look at these, as you look at this, you can see the two guys that need the T-shirts the mostest. Okay, you know, if you want to take a collection up for me and Carl here,
That's
I
right.
mean, obviously we're not as high dressed as you cats.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got a T-shirt on myself. Come on, man.
Is that a T-shirt? I can't tell. It looks like a hoodie.
I couldn't even afford.
I think it's the chair behind
the
it.
background. I can't tell. You look at the picture behind you, holding your head.
You're killing me, Ski.
Me,
Yeah, you.
open GNU.
Hey, Carl, what are you running right now?
I've been running Antergos for
Yes.
6 months or so.
Yes.
And
That's the longest. I think it's the longest. Yeah, I was on Corora for a long time, probably a couple of years.
Were you?
Yep. Yeah, I was a big fan of Fedora back in the day, and it was during the time that there was like a period, I think anyway, where I started off with Linux Mint. That was my very first distro. Well, technically, my very first distro was Ubuntu, and but only for like 2 days, and then I was done. Went back to Windows, and then went to Linux Mint, and then messed around with all the Ubuntus for a long time, and kind of stayed there, and then ventured out and tried Fedora, and then I really liked it and stuck with Corora for a long time.
Corora.
yeah, Corora was nice. Like you, I mean, I always had kind of a soft spot, I guess, for Fedora and OpenSUSE, just because back in the day, that's what you'd get on the back of the magazine to install from the disk.
Right.
That's the way you did it, and and then, but Fedora can be difficult and time consuming as far as getting everything set up.
Yeah.
Because you got to get the codecs and all of that in place, and Corora took care of all that. Plus, it was pretty.
It's a whole different package than apt or
I think they
But
use DNS.
is Corora the KDE version of Fedora?
No,
No.
I thought so too.
No, in fact, they're really similar to this whole pop issue, really.
Yeah, they really, absolutely.
What is what you said, Corora? I thought you said Corora.
Yeah, Corora.
KO. Yeah. But now that's no more, right? Carl, Rocco, didn't we read that they have shut down?
Rocco, what'd you do now?
No,
I think that was
I don't think so.
It wasn't
Yeah.
Corora? Okay.
Yeah, that was a Pricity.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was a Pricity. Yep.
Actually, I've never tried out Corora, so I probably should at some
Isn't that
point.
what you guys were saying, Corora?
Corora.
Yeah.
Yep.
Corora.
Ski.
What?
Corora.
Yeah.
You got it now?
Really? I just repeat what you guys said. I'm like, I thought you guys were talking about Corora. I'm like, what is Corora? Is that KDE version? I mean, you know what I mean? Throw me a lifeline here.
Desktops. Their standard is the GNOME desktop.
Is the GNOME
We
desktop.
got a new guy here too. Let's introduce him. Hi, I'm John.
Eric. Does this
Eric,
thing
what's
work?
going on, man? Oh, yeah. It's working.
You frozen.
Hello, Eric.
Oh.
Hey,
He's
how are you?
Belgium.
Pretty good, man.
No.
Pretty good.
Australia.
What's that, Colin?
Who's the guy in the? Oh yeah, he's moving. That's all right. Is there someone else on chat? Oh, just on mic, is it or not? No.
Welcome.
Well, he's gone.
Oh,
Yeah, he's gone.
okay.
I don't know if that's Swift or not.
I can't tell.
Oh yeah, he keeps popping in and out every now and then, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Hey, at least
Don't worry.
he's still here.
So, welcome, Eric.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing, Eric?
Hey.
What did I see what you said in chat? What do you run?
Mainly Fedora.
25?
26 I got
26.
on the beta.
On the beta. Whoa.
Beta's looking
Is it
pretty good, actually.
Beta, pass alpha.
A man after my own heart. Living on the
Wayland's
edge.
rocking it.
Which kernel is it rocking?
411.
Really?
Wow.
Nice.
And they've done a good job with Wayland, you say?
Beautiful. The one thing you got to give Fedora is they integrate everything really well. They do a lot of testing.
True.
Yeah.
They're as bad as Debian.
The full release
If
for
it just
Fedora
wasn't
26.
so difficult, you know?
I don't mean bad in a bad way. I mean bad in a good way, but I mean, yeah. They're like Debian.
Sort of, but Debian just takes forever.
And what's different from what we were saying?
Fedora releases things a lot faster.
Isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah.
No, they don't. They target faster, but they delay it every single time for...
Because they want to do it right.
but not the 2 years of Debian. You know?
Unlike
Well,
us,
for
where
the
they
real
just
people
throw everything
who like
on
to
the
get it
AUI.
right the first time, come on, really?
I think a lot of distros are starting to do that now, don't you think? They're not putting a time limit on some of them. They're making sure they get it right before they release, which is a good idea. It's not a real good look for a distro if it doesn't work straight out of the box, is it?
I mean, with all this Wayland stuff too, it's really important because I mean that's a pretty critical piece of your software there, and if that's not working right,
A
you're
lot of packages got to work with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of interface. Yeah.
Rob, have you tried Wayland or not? Rocco, have you tried Wayland?
There's so many trying to integrate.
Tried
Now,
what?
Wayland.
Have you tried the Wayland desktop?
You don't need it in i3 or in OpenBox, do you?
Like, have you tried Fedora, Rob? That's what I'm asking, I suppose.
Oh,
Have you tried Fedora or Wayland?
yes. No.
They
Rob,
Fedora
you
not
on
on-
Wayland?
Yeah, have you tried
have you
Fedora
installed-
with
have
Wayland?
you-
No, I have not. But that I've been so tempted numerous times, and I will for sure. I'll try it.
That's your next
It's got a
video,
good
Rob.
fallback.
That's
on
it
Xorg
right
as
there.
well.
Confirmed.
If you have a problem, you just restart the session with Xorg and everything's fine.
Yeah. Yep.
It's all hardware compatibility for me.
Well, to be honest with you, Wayland doesn't work well with. Well, okay. Every time that I tried Wayland with NVIDIA, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work. Now, maybe they fixed
it's
some
better
things
now.
lately.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
a
I used to have those issues.
Radeon.
Those are famous last words, Eric. It's better now.
well,
better
I mean, I
now,
just
yeah.
installed the Ubuntu 17.10 alpha release, and the Wayland login wasn't working for me, but on Fedora it was. So I think it's probably situational, definitely.
Well, and Fedora's pretty cutting edge. I mean, they
Weren't they the
try
first
to get
one
out there
to
on some of those.
Fedora?
Yeah, pro tip always start in
Yeah.
Xorg the first time, update everything, and then go into Wayland. Don't
Yeah.
try to start
Definitely.
Wayland.
Fedora was the first distro, Wayland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I think the problem is,
When?
Carl? The problem I think with Fedora is it's just not in the news like a lot of the other distros. I mean, it is, but you just don't hear about it in the news stream like you hear from other distros.
Right.
But they're doing a lot behind the scenes that I think just people aren't aware of. You just don't hear about it.
And they work with Node a lot.
That's
I'd
right.
like to- I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, if you're in the Red Hat environment a bit more and you use CentOS and all that, then you actually see they've got a structured into their whole ecosystem. It's not just separate little things like a lot of other distros are.
Right. And a lot of their know-how and a lot of their testing and things come from the enterprise side of things. So
Yeah,
you've
that's
got
where everything ends up. Yeah.
Yep.
If Fedora's implementations are good, they'll trickle down.
Yep.
One thing
There's
I couldn't understand for a very long
Chuck
time.
Norris there. Yeah.
I couldn't understand for a very long time why Ubuntu decided to go with their Mia when everybody else is working on Wayland and they spent so much money on Mia, and they could have put a lot more effort into the community and go Wayland way, which everyone else was. So I don't understand why they went their separate way. Anybody?
Echo chambers. Because they were around
Other
echo chamber.
issues. Mirror went out to solve a few more problems than just being a display server. I mean, it not that I'm defending it. I wasn't a fan myself, but it went out to solve more problems than Wayland's.
So that was to suit the compatibility for mobiles.
I think some of I think that was part of it.
Michael?
Hey, during this little lull, I want to do a shout out for Rob and Rocco. I want to thank you guys for that last Destination Linux where you brought Eric Dubois in. That man is a genius.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love what he's doing.
Awesome.
I love what he's doing. I love you guys bringing it out.
Well, thank you, Ski. It was great to chat with Eric.
Advertisement in between this.
Hello, Michael. Oh, no audio, Michael.
I can't hear him.
Well,
Eric, he's got a lot of things happening on YouTube at the moment. He's doing plenty, isn't he?
Yeah, and I didn't realize to the extent either, and then I came upon some of his script work and everything, just for like Cinnamon Desktop and things like that. And I mean, a lot of this takes a lot of time to put all of this in place, and he's just put it all out there and shared all of that work with everyone. So that's fantastic.
It is, yeah. It's a bit confusing for me actually what he's doing. He's running all these scripts for changing all icons and things, isn't it? It's, you can make your own colors, make your own theme. I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Very interesting.
Michael, have we got your audio now?
Love you guys.
You out of here?
No, he's not left.
Nah, Michael, you got no audio yet. He's working on it.
We got love for you, buddy. We'll wait.
We'll wait. Don't worry about it. We got plenty of time.
Michael, switch over your Windows system. It'll be okay.
Coming. God bless.
You'll have to connect to the internet, though, if you do that. Just saying.
Can we send hugs through the internet?
Hugs.
Hey, I love all you guys. And I hope you guys are having a great time. And we're, it is a holiday somewhere.
That's right.
That's right.
It's the first time I've really been able to chat Linux with Linux people, to be honest. I'm pretty much all when it comes to Linux. So it's good. Enjoying this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
There you go.
Nice. Welcome back.
Yeah. I spent more time trying to get the overlay to work.
Shit, you did so goddamn good. You're even more handsome.
Yeah, that's very accurate. And very modest too.
You got a
yeah, I see that.
Rocky, you're killing me.
So Michael was helping me out with Rocket League earlier.
Ah,
yeah, I've converted him.
He was teaching me all the tips and tricks.
It was interesting, Michael. We were starting up the podcast, and we had to stop and do like 10 retakes because all Rocco wanted to do was talk about Rocket League.
Perfect.
So we'd be halfway into the Linux news, and we'd say, "Hey, there's an update, kernel 11.4," and Rocco would say, "Yeah, and Rocket League plays so much better now."
I forgot about the update to Rocket League.
Oh my god, that's a good one.
Oh my goodness.
I'm glad I'm not the only one talking about Rocket League now, so that's good.
I'm still terrible.
Right now you are.
Well, no.
I'm not really a gamer. Is this a Steam game or something? Or is it a Steam game?
Yeah,
it is.
It's a Steam game.
Yeah.
It's a Steam game, and right now, Colin, not that I'm throwing it out there, but right now you can get it on sale for $11.99, and it runs on Linux. I'm just saying.
It sounds like a sales pitch.
This was me last week.
What has happened here?
Oh, it's funny.
So we ended things with Rocco. What are you doing for the 4th of July? And he says, "I'm playing Rocket League."
Oh, yeah, playing Rocket League. What do you want?
Or he's working for Amazon. I don't know.
Amazon.
Playing Rocket League. That's like the only thing that needs to be done. Everything else is just irrelevant.
No.
Michael,
StarCraft coming out with a new rendition of StarCraft the original.
Right, and then Rocket League is coming out with a new version in a week.
You should be happy. This is a Linux game that you could actually play, I think. You might have a graphics card that it could actually play Rocket League.
You know, Ryan?
Hey, wait a minute, guys.
Now this is getting personal.
I just bought a pop-themed car in Rocket League.
You're not even
There
real
you go.
Brooklyn. You're not even real Brooklyn.
So you make a joke like that, you probably actually could do that.
You probably could, yes.
Yep.
That game is very customizable. You could probably make it look like
We
that.
have a situation brewing here.
Oh.
So have you already talked about how absurdly ridiculous and
Don't
pointless?
make me bring the Belgium guy back.
We did have some conversation about that, and so go ahead and throw out your take because.
Oh, yippee! Another distro! Yay!
What? What?
Another pointless, useless distro. That's fantastic. Let's do it.
There's no such thing. All distros are worth checking out.
No.
Why?
Not.
You came out with one?
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh,
Michael.
burn!
Don't sugarcoat it.
It's a distro that's entire purpose is to make it look good.
Is this the vote? Is
Like to make it look
Marianne or
good.
Ginger
It's Hall
better?
of Fame. They don't
What are
need
we voting on?
No, it's
They don't need
marketing.
to do it. We need to have our own customizations. They already did that with the previous version of Ubuntu. They already made changes. They already had patches. They already did all this stuff. It wasn't default anyway. Why make another distro just because you want customizations? Like, just make them. You're done.
Marketing.
It's for brand name recognition, man.
Right.
Yeah, because pop !_OS is the greatest marketing tool ever.
Wait, is the underscore staying?
Yes.
Yeah, it
that's
is.
going to be in there.
Oh, I
All
thought
these
that was
things.
just.
What's your point?
Punctuation and for no reason. All that stuff.
What's your
It really
point?
makes the distro
Question
pop though.
why
doesn't
this
it?
hardware supplier is coming out with a custom version of software with it?
Michael, I was going to buy another Dell system until I saw the exclamation point at the end of the name.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was actually refusing to ever buy a Dell until I saw that.
Carl was about to as well. I know you were,
I was like,
Carl.
Yeah.
Well, look, think about it now. The
What's that
underscore has
Rocket
to
League? What were you
stay.
saying, Rocket League? I'm sorry.
Rocket League, dude. It's about Rocket League.
Rocket
Rocket
League.
League actually should have like 5 exclamation points and at least 3 underscores.
Get Grayson.
Hey, Chuck Norris plays Rocket League.
But think about this now, though. If you're trying to make a distro and you're going to have people searching for it, you more or less have to make it somewhat unique. And they've already went with the pop thing. So they have to put the exclamation and the underscore in it, because if you just search pop, you ain't finding no distro. I can tell you that.
My point is that there's no reason for them to
Yeah.
right? Like their entire purpose is to sell it, is to provide it with the machines they sell, which they could just do anyway.
Could possibly go wrong.
They don't need to make a distro that is also downloadable. What's the purpose of that? Like, oh, we want you to use the things that we've optimized for our hardware that you don't actually have our hardware for, and therefore irrelevant to have these optimizations.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, but I think in the overall picture, why wouldn't you, make it available? Because people are going to ask for it anyway, regardless of if... Regardless
Put
of
it on your
you,
website. You can put it on your website.
No.
But
But I'm looking for a piece of hardware. Okay, if I'm in a Windows environment, I don't have to worry about whether it's compatible. If it's available to me on Windows, it's going to work. In Linux, I got to worry about, okay, is this going to work on my ATI driver or my NVIDIA driver? Is this going to work on this? Is it going to work on, you know what I mean? We got to be totally cognizant choices of anything we want to try to install and hope it works.
But
I don't know
did
what your
that
point is.
anyway. Like, they did make sure it works.
You
Like,
may know what my point
they
is.
pushed patches for
Wait,
ID.
what does that have to do with the distro they're making?
God damn it. The last 3 brain cells I had left.
You're making a condescending response to something that did not make sense in the first place. We don't need optimization for hardware they're not working on. They don't care about Dell hardware. They make their own hardware. They take ODM hardware from Clevo and they make their own modifications for it, and they make software based on that. So optimizations that are made in the software Pop! OS is for their hardware, not Dell, not HP, nothing. It doesn't matter. All it is optimizations for their own hardware. If you don't have their hardware, the optimizations they make aren't relevant to you.
I know. So what do I do with my hardware?
Use something else. That's my point about how this thing doesn't need to exist. There's no benefit to other people not using their hardware.
Well, let me ask you this, Michael. Do you have an issue with them just saying, hey, this is what we want to put on our systems when we sell them? Because I don't have a problem with that.
At all, no. I don't. But they don't need to make it. They don't make a big press release. So hey, we have a new distro.
Yeah.
We have this. We're gonna have a name that's just ridiculously stupid name.
Well, like Carl said, that's the marketing side of it.
Right, but it's just more fragmentation. It doesn't serve a purpose. It's only for their stuff. And yes, they have extensions. They have themes. Great. You know what you could also do that with? Regular Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Like, what does it matter? Like, why do you need another distro that the only modifications you make are installing things that you could install anyway? If they made a script that was like, here, install it, perfect. But if it's like it's a whole new distro that we're going to market, and
I wonder if the guy from what was it called? Mental
Uncle?
Block.
The man from Uncle?
No, the Alexa type Linux box.
Oh, Mycroft.
Mycroft, the guy from Mycroft's now in System 76, and he actually drove Mycroft pretty well. So I wonder if it's one of his ideas.
What's
Mycroft? To try to get the hype.
Yeah.
Remember Mycroft? Still waiting for mine. 2 years later.
Supposedly the guy who Ryan.
The young guy. They did all the Ryan. That's it. Yeah. So he's the community manager now at System 76.
He was the community manager for Mycroft too. He really didn't. He wasn't.
You know what Mycroft is?
It's basically Cortana, Siri, or whatever for your own devices, open source Siri type thing.
Isn't one of the Elementary OS team members working on at 76 System 76 as well?
Technically, yes. Well, one of them. There used to be two. Now there's just one that works there.
Cassidy.
Cassidy still works there. Daniel Foray used to work there.
Okay.
Elementary.
Well, I for one, like I said, Michael, I don't have a problem with them making their own distro because I realize it's about getting their brand name out. And if you don't want to consider it a distro, that's great. And I don't have any problem with that. If you disagree that it's a distro, that's great. But there has been so much like backlash and like hatred comments and everything about them doing this. I just don't understand it at all. I mean, I don't understand what the big deal is. At the end of the day, they made their own distro. Great. Well, how does that change my life? It doesn't change my life at all. And yet so many people are upset about it.
I'm laughing at the person in the background waving.
Waving behind you, Carl. Somebody's waving behind Carl.
Yeah.
But so I don't care that they're doing it in the sense that they want to make their own customizations for their own hardware. I don't have a problem with that. Some people were like annoyed that they were supposedly making their own distribution earlier, and I was like, well, if you're making your own thing that to release it with your stuff, that's fine. You want to have you want to do a thing where you are the person who's taking care of like the support, and you want to have it everybody's using what you offer the support for. I mean, I'm okay with that. But it's the part where they start making a new distro that other people to use, which has no reason for other people to use because all the optimizations are for their hardware or extensions and themes that they just forked are already existing themes. It doesn't make any sense to do all that stuff. But as far as like why does it bother me is because, well, we already have 1,000 distros. We don't need more. Unless you actually do something innovative and a theme and some icons and some extensions that are in the GNOME extensions website, that's not innovative.
Maybe
and also, it's terrible. They could have called it Linux 76 or something not so stupid.
I said they should have called it Pop 76. But
what if it makes their hardware work more better?
It's not about their hardware being better. It's about
how do you know? How do you know it isn't better develop or make usable their hardware? How do you know?
I don't know. Okay, your question was how do you know if their hardware is better? I don't know if their hardware is better.
I didn't ask it. No, that's not my question. How do you know their attempt at making a different software distribution is not a better way to introduce their hardware?
They could have already put the software in the hardware like they already are planning to do, like they already do in the way with their modifications of Ubuntu for the past like 10 years.
Could have just added a repo and that's it.
They didn't need to make a new distro just to do the things they were already
maybe I'm
doing
missing
for a
something.
decade.
I thought this is a brand new hardware they're releasing.
It's the same hardware. Pop OS has nothing to do with hardware. It's
This
just
is not a new computer they're releasing.
No.
No, it's just an operating system.
It's just the operating system on it.
Then I'm not even going to be talking anymore. I'm going to sign out and bye-bye.
So
Didn't the System 7016 push a lot of high DPI changes upstream as well? Wasn't that?
Yeah, they did a lot of stuff. I mean, I wasn't saying that they were
No,
bad about doing things.
They were perfectly able to modify what they currently had.
Yeah, they were innovative in the sense that they were using Ubuntu and fixing things that were problems with Ubuntu. For example, there was some bad touch support and there was some bad high DPI support, and System 76 developers created the patches to send upstream to Ubuntu, which was adopted by Ubuntu. So that's great. But now when you're making your own distro, all you're doing is creating fragmentation. So you're like, yeah, there is a possibility that they're still going to do things that will be going upstream. But now they're just competing again. It's the same thing when people have some hardware companies like we only provide software or distributions for the elementary on it. Like, well, that's right. Good, but you're only focusing on elementary. So any hardware, any fixes that you're doing with the hardware, are they just elementary based hardware fixes, or are they integrating with every version of Linux? Like,
not depressing us.
Make it more
but how it always is.
Well, they've been running behind the Ubuntu logo for so long. Maybe they found this as an opportunity to.
That's right. It's always like that, though.
Without the logo itself, without the Ubuntu logo.
Not depressing us.
Maybe did they have an agreement with Ubuntu, and maybe that was broken because they changed their system or something?
No, they just decided to use Ubuntu, and they've been doing it for a decade.
He's right.
Yeah, it's just I thought I read somewhere that
he knows what he's talking about.
I thought I read somewhere that they were going to still they were still going to have Ubuntu available for their systems even after introducing this new theme.
Well, they also a month or so ago, they said that they were going to be using Ubuntu with modifications and had no mention of ever talking about their own distro. So if they're going to say one thing a month ago that's completely opposite of what they're doing,
yes,
I don't know.
Well,
he said they hadn't said that.
They get people to talk about it, just like you guys are.
Like I would have no problem if they would just said, we're going to make our own distro. We don't agree with the things that they're doing at Canonical to switch to GNOME or something. Then you're like, okay, fine. They're making their own distro. I understand. But when they said, we're not going to make our own distro, we're going to make some customizations with some theming and some icons and extensions and stuff. You're like, okay, I understand that. You want to customize it to what you think your customers will want. I get that. But then you go ahead and not do that. You make your own distro, which if their problem was, we don't like you use Ubuntu using GNOME, well, then why are you using GNOME on yours? Like, there's so many questions there's so many things about this decision are just weird. Like, they're mixing messages from previous decisions, and they are doing things that don't seem to be relevant. Like what necessary to make a new distro. Just seems excessive and redundant.
Oh, come on.
And terribly marketed.
Get off your soapbox, okay? Because you're right on 99% of yours. You actually are.
My soapbox is very, very comfy.
Well, the as tempted as I am to run distros that come on the scene, for whatever reason, I just wasn't lured or tempted with this one, because as you just explained, I kind of just understood that, hey, this is going to be like if I would just download Ubuntu and put GNOME on it and create my own theme. I don't think there's going to be anything major there, but at the same time, if that's what they want to do, I'm fine with it.
I'm fine ultimately that they're doing, and I'm disappointed that they're doing in the sense that we don't need more redundancy.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
If you're out here right now, I want to give kudos to especially Rob because of this one thing. there's many sites you can go to where people are testing out distros in a virtual box or known boxes or what have you. But there are very few that will actually throw it on their hardware and give you a true test. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because if you want a video of how's it going to perform on my system, and back me if I'm wrong, but there's no way you're going to get the real story unless you get a video from somebody that actually put it in their hardware and tested it for a while. You know, I mean, there's a dime a dozen of the guys that throw it on their virtual box and throw a video off. That's not, you know what I mean?
I think virtual boxes, some people just present a distro on VirtualBox so you can get a bit of a look and a feel of what apps it has installed and all that, and then you can make a choice. I think I'll look at that on real hardware and try it out because I like the look of it, I like what it's got in there, and I like the way it looks like it works. And then you throw it on there, but still there's no guarantees it's going to work.
Well,
that's my point. Is there's very few people on the YouTube channels that are willing to risk it on their heart, on their.
Well,
I agree.
Let me propose something to you. I made a video on Solus. I installed it on hardware, but that's not going to mean Solus is going to work for yours. Right? I wiped my entire thing just for a video.
Experience on your hardware,
yeah,
real time, you know, is a lot more valid to somebody trying it on a virtual box. You know, that's what I'm saying.
Well, the other thing about VirtualBox is you get the overall picture from the distro too if you do it on VirtualBox. So you get the
But you get no idea how it's going to work on your real hardware.
But you get the picture of what the installer looks like, how easy it is. You get the login screen. You get a whole picture of it. Now, I'm not a fan of VirtualBox, and I don't do reviews on VirtualBox. I'm just saying that is one advantage to doing it on a VirtualBox.
Okay, so here's...
I have to say another thing, Ski. When Rob and Rocco, which is what you're saying is good because they do try it on real hardware, but what works for them may not work for you, may not work for me, because we've all got different computers, different hardware, and it still may not work. What works well for Rob might just run like rubbish on my hardware. You just don't know.
That's right.
That's right,
Rob.
That's true. Yeah, very true. Hey, Michael, I'm looking forward to my Linux is Everywhere t-shirt.
Nice.
Wait a minute. No, we all want one.
It's shipped already. I went with the gray, and hopefully I'll have it in time for the next Destination Linux episode.
Nice. I don't know how long they take to ship, but it's actually every time they've given an estimate, it's always like a week before they actually do it. They're like, here's we're going to ship it to you on this day, and then they'll give you an update email, and it's like, oh, guess what, we were wrong. It's going to be a week before that. So
okay, all right.
So how does that whole thing work, Michael? It's a time limit, right? So
what the shipping, the t-shirt shipping thing?
Well, I mean, for ordering, it's on a time frame where you can order it for so long.
There's no way.
It's like a campaign. It's like a fundraiser campaign thing. So you can say a certain amount of time, and then you can also be like a consistent thing. But the certain amount of time gives you more time to do like better marketing because it gives you like a sense of, it's fleeting. You can't just go get it anytime you want to. So if you actually do want it, if you wanted to get it, like, well, I can't get it in 2 weeks. So like maybe I'll get it, and then like, well, you actually might forget about it and never get it. So the time frame thing is kind of like a notification
outside of the t-shirt.
Likely you're going to more. It's more like an incentivization thing.
Does anybody in these 6 guys have like a significant other, like a woman, in their lives?
Yeah.
I
think quite a few
I'm
of
married.
us.
How many? Raise your hand.
How many wives? I've only got one wife.
One out of the 6 of us?
I'm married.
I'm almost married.
You're the only one, Rob. Oh my God! There's
I don't believe in marriage. So I don't know what this means.
But anyway, I look forward to it, Michael. And do you have any numbers yet on how many orders or anything like that?
So far, 10.
Okay.
Which is 10 more than I expected.
Hey.
So I'm good with that.
Hey, is it still open?
I'll proudly wear it. You know
what?
The
good thing about it is that the shirt. When I actually had no expectation of whatever, and as soon as I saw there was actually going to be some money, I was like, oh, well, now I'm going to go ahead and get some upgrades to my equipment that I desperately need. So I already got stuff on order, like some lighting equipment and stuff. So my videos are going to be way better than they were.
Nice.
And even though my production
after you get done playing Rocket League,
when I was younger, and
no,
thinking there's something wrong.
My videos of Rocket League will be way better than they
okay. So the T-shirts are not open to buy anymore, correct?
They are until like 2 days from now, because there's a current discount thing that Teespring's doing. So I kind of like expanded it until that's over.
Well, send me the link through Telegram, and I'll put it in the live chat.
He's like a computer already.
Oh, this is gonna suck. Oh, I didn't do it. Oh, well, that's
right.
Shit, I can still see you, bastards.
That didn't work. I don't know what that's gonna do.
Was I supposed to do something?
No.
Shit.
Hey, Rocco.
Yes, sir.
Rocco, Barbara says that it's okay to like Gnome, that they'll still talk to you.
Who's the guy in the bottom middle here? Is that... Who
Everyone's
are you?
different.
Ski, he's been here for an hour, and you don't know who he is?
What's his name?
That's Colin, man.
Hey, Colin, how you doing?
Yeah, thanks.
Is it chilly there?
Looks like Toss is in the chat.
Hey, Toss can't be in the chat. We're just getting...
Frank
How
the
you
shirt.
doing, man? You look chilly there.
Actually, you probably linked it. Hold on.
His little leg. Is it still World War II?
Sorry?
Oh, that's probably inappropriate.
Anyway.
We'll just blame it on computer lag.
I'm going to have to mute Ski, I think.
What?
Oh, my goodness.
And there goes. I love it. Let me tell you something. My gnome experience on Interrogos is, once again, the greatest ever experienced since the Sphinx.
You're welcome.
The what?
It's the greatest operating system ever.
I don't think he is, Chip.
I keep coming back. What? I keep
Don't
coming
tell
back.
Linux and other stuff. I'm sure you'll disagree.
That's his
Dave
low.
and Linux and other stuff. Doesn't he love GNOME?
Oh, Dave. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that was...
He's got a point.
Dave, if you're watching, I had just sheer pleasure and out loud laughter watching your video where he was going through GNOME and he was like, I want to show you this, but I can't. I can't show you. Where is it? I'd love to show you this, but it's not there. It was classic.
I too enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was good.
That was awesome. And he did a couple other videos right in around that time. And he put, I think it was Elementary he did. And he put like a suit jacket on.
Oh, yes.
He said he was all sophisticated because he was running Elementary. It was hilarious. Oh, my gosh. It was awesome.
I must have missed that one.
Oh, you got to go back and find it.
Yeah, you got to go back and see that. So Dave's wearing his blazer.
Yep.
And he's like all sophisticated for Elementary OS.
It was awesome.
I'll find it.
He should be on. He should be on the live chat. That's what he should.
I watched that video. I remember that. That's a long time ago.
So, Michael,
you guys look
what's
even better
current?
than
What's
ever.
current on your channel?
Rocket League.
Rocket League.
You're funny. You're funny. Current. You.
No, so I listened to your last news episode, which was you released that what? I'm losing track of days. Okay.
2 days.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks.
Yep.
You could have given me more of a clue.
Well, I mean, it's not current, so it's 2 weeks ago. But so the thing is, I need the equipment to improve the speed of making these. So
What are you, Superman?
no, that's why I
Don't
need.
worry, you
equipment.
wouldn't need that. Yeah, never mind. That was a big
So you've
one.
got some of that on order, Michael?
Yeah. So there's I realized really quickly a problem. I have a tripod that I got from my brother, and I'm significantly taller than the tripod is able to go. So I've had to like do some weird things to get it to work, and it always takes me a lot of time to do that. And then when I went to the video of just doing visuals and no on camera stuff, that sounds like it would be easier, but it's not. It's actually much harder because it takes more time to make all the visuals. So every segment has a different overlay. It has a different item of a website in it. It has and I have to record all these different things and piece it all together. And it's kind of like, I don't know. It takes like probably twice as much time to do that than it does just to record myself.
Yeah, I've been toying with it myself.
So I just wanted to change up how I'm going to do it. So I haven't made it in a couple weeks because mainly because I wanted to change the way I did it, and I wanted to like kind of release a new version of the style. And if I keep doing it, I'd probably get burnt out a little bit because of the amount of effort it takes to do the current production style.
Okay.
Plus, it also gives me more time to work on other things.
Exactly.
I've forgotten what Michael does. He was on Destination Linux, wasn't he, Michael, not long ago? Michael Tunnell, I remember.
Yeah, I was
right.
What do you actually? I've forgotten what it is that you do. I've watched so many.
Sounds like
What does Michael do? Is it distro or something else?
Oh, lots of things. Let's go through the list. Podcaster in the sense that I am producer. I was producer for Linux Action Show. It doesn't exist anymore, but I'm producer for Linux Unplugged. I create Tux Digital, which is a YouTube channel that does reviews and mostly like tutorials and explaining like deep concepts of Linux and stuff. Like I explained Ubuntu Snappy and things like that. And then there's other things like I contribute to various distros. Let's see, Ubuntu Mate and Terragos. I'm actually officially on the team for both of those. I heavily I contribute enough in various different ways. Yeah, I'll do patches, or I'll do community management, or I'll do graphics, and yes.
Oh, my mind here.
I'm also a graphic designer, so I can do both of those.
Quite a fair bit. You must be a busy man.
Yeah. I'd say
I hear somebody. Is that you, Zeb?
I'm also on the official team for Interrogos as the community leader, manager.
Get
or
the
whatever.
hell out of here.
Yeah.
You got the Interrogos guy right here.
G-Man?
Of the distro you're running, Ski.
Son of a bitch. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I'm not one of the developers.
It's the greatest distro ever.
Hey, Ski, can you watch the language, brother?
You don't want to mess up monetization.
What?
Can you watch the language?
Well, I won't call you Rocco.
Not that language.
I got my finger on the kick button. I'm just saying.
All right. Sorry, but I'm sorry if I missed something. I thought I was keeping it, family orientated. Oh, there you great.
So, Rob, you're running Terragos at the moment, is that right, Rob?
That's correct. Yep.
No.
My.
Well, yep. And that's kind of my fallback. So, I'll, of course, with all the hopping I do, and I've got separate partitions set up, but to me, that has been tried and true on my system.
Rocco?
Tried and true. And it's kind of like my safe place. If I start going down the wrong path with a distro, it's like that the first thing I'm going to reach for is my USB with Interrogos on it. And, like you said, though, earlier, I guess I do more switching on that from desktop to desktop than any other distro.
Yeah.
So
makes it easier.
Yeah. That downloads everything from the installer, doesn't it? Is that right? And Terragos, that downloads everything from the installer.
Plus, you can install it.
It's a net
right.
install.
It's much easier. More fluid.
Yeah, everything's a net install on Interrogos.
Yeah. So
the only thing that comes with the ISO is just the installation and the live.
Rocco, was it
version.
unfamily orientated?
And so it'll actually update the installer
Because I think
prior to
I remember
actually
some
getting
people
to the
saying,
install.
sorry, Rob. I remember some people saying that they have an argument whether it's an installer or whether it's a distro. Some people ask the question.
Yeah, that's a debate, I guess.
I can answer for you.
Go ahead, Michael.
It's a distro.
That's what I call it.
I mean, there's people who argue that it is. Absolutely.
No, it's an Arch installer which lets you choose during the installation process which that's the environment you want.
As someone who's a part of the distro that that is part of the discussion, it is a distro.
I mean, I thought that at first too. Like, I legitimately thought it was just an installer at first, but when I started using it, like, there's way more than just uninstaller. And here you go.
It's an Arch installer. I'm telling you, situation.
It's not an Arch installer; it's its own distro.
Oh no, it isn't.
An Arch installer doesn't.
Okay, when you argue with someone who's actually a part of the team, it's kind of a futile argument.
That's the environment you want during the installation process.
All right, but what about OpenSUSE?
So here's a good question. Here's a good example of why it's a separate distro. In Arch, who's maintaining Mate?
Arch.
Martin Windpress.
No one.
No.
True.
It's up in the air.
Family charcoal.
It is completely.
It's a holiday weekend.
It is orphaned in Arch. It is maintained in Intergos.
You don't even
separate
have a
distro.
Right.
Have you ever been outside? Have you ever seen the light of day? Stop it.
Scary, an Arch installer has little dots where you just type things in there. It doesn't look as nice as what the Intergos one does.
The Intergos, it does technically. Like, people confuse what Intergos does as being Arch. It is not Arch. It is 100% Arch compatible, but it is not Arch.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you have, if you're using Intergos, you're using a separate distro that happens to be compatible with another distro. And that's pretty much it. Like, whereas Manjaro is not 100% compatible because it's using their own fork of every package. The only reason Intergos is actually manages or maintains Mate is because Arch doesn't, and that's because Arch is. I don't know why they're not picking someone. There's been like 7 people who have attempted to try to maintain Mate, but Arch will not allow them to.
Huh.
There's been people who, even Martin Windpress has actually sponsored someone to take over, and Arch denied the sponsorship.
Wow.
I don't know why. It makes no sense.
No,
but that's one of the biggest examples. Like, at some point that won't be true. There will be someone maintaining it. But the last person who updated Mate is one of the main KDE maintainers in Arch. So
wow.
He's definitely not taking over maintaining it, but he is willing to update it if necessary.
Things like things you don't even see as well, and not that this classifies it as a distro, but if I just were to do the pure Arch thing and then hook up a printer, let's say, my HP, there's no guarantee that's just going to work, right? But with Intergos, it's got driver support, printer driver support, and everything. In fact, I had issues with, Mint. And the old HP printer all-in-one just would not work, and went back and put Intergos on there and had the best printer support I think I've had on any distro. So there's behind-the-scenes work that has gone on with the distro, because otherwise, if it was just an Arch, and correct me here, Michael, but if it was just an Arch installer, you'd have to go in and choose that, hey, you want printer driver support, you want this, you want that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and more than that, with the Arch installer, you don't have those options. Like, the Arch installer is a very basic installer.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the way Debian is. You get the fundamental bare bones stuff, and then everything else is behind the scenes, and with like a terminal application or something to install everything else that you want. So you have to install libhp and stuff like that, or HP lib,
HP,
things like. And all and cups and stuff like that. You'd have to install that yourself,
right? And
actually have to know what to install.
You'd have to be spending many hours on the Arch wiki, I would say, if it was just doing their Arch install. Whereas most of the libraries are probably already installed for what we need.
Yeah,
right.
All the same.
I have a kind of a weird relationship with Intergos because I'm a big fan of it. I work on it and do patches and do like community support and stuff like that. There are things I disagree on with the other members of the team, and I'm already been public about this, so it's not like I'm, giving insider information or anything. It's just more like I don't agree with the way Intergos is kind of presented in a lot of ways and places. The slogan "Intergos for everyone" bothers me,
All right,
because it's not for everyone. And I don't like how people think that Intergos is like Ubuntu for Arch. I don't. It's not. And I actually hate it when people say Manjaro is, because that's even worse. Because there's things that Manjaro does that makes it not even remotely Arch-like. Like when you modify the kernel, you're no longer that distro base.
Rocco wasn't able to experience that until recently. He couldn't get it to install.
Like Manjaro is an interesting thing because it has some good ideas. Like Pamac was a really cool solution for like a Pac-Man synaptic approach. Like I kind of like that. They've done some good things. Cinchi is a unique thing, but conceptually is somewhat sort of based on a Manjaro project. The Ubuntu Mate Welcome is actually a fork of a Manjaro project, which was actually a fork of technically Intergos forked something, Ubuntu Mate forked that, which was forked from Manjaro. So there's a bunch of things that are good things that Manjaro does. I just don't think they've done some weird mixed messages stuff that makes me like not trust their opinions of things. But overall, I just don't think people should say it's like Ubuntu with like Arch based, because it's not. They cannot do that. With 9 people on their team, they absolutely cannot guarantee the stability that Ubuntu does. And also the rolling aspect is a complete contradiction to stability in the first place.
Well, I consider Manjaro the Linux Mint of Arch. They try to customize your desktop. They try to make everything work, even with the limited people that they have. And, usually it works out. They were having issues with the installer, as Rob said, but that is fixed now. So,
well they also had issues with forgetting to update their SSL cert and telling people, "Oh, you just turn back your network time," and you're like, "Well, okay, that's not that people screw up twice. They did the exact same thing twice. You just have a script that automatically renews it. That's what great about Let's Encrypt. It just auto renews. Why not do that?" So there's and if you go back, like, it was a couple years ago, I think like 3 years ago, Philip Mueller said something incredibly stupid. Like, you could say that people, you have arguments that are like, well, their philosophy is different than ours, and I don't agree with this thing. And that's fine. Having that is not necessarily stupid. Not, having a different opinion is not stupid. Saying we're going to, in 2 years, drop the Arch base, replace it with a hybrid of Mac OS and Windows for Manjaro, that is stupid.
Wow.
That is impossible.
Wow.
So him saying that was like, what? And he said it on a podcast interview that the guy who made the podcast has now killed the podcast because he got so much people like they ignored every episode he did except for that one, and as spending like he said he spent like 2 weeks just fielding emails from that one statement.
Wow.
It's like, I don't know, go to the Manjaro forum, and you go to the Manjaro forum, which a moderator of Manjaro was like, what does that mean? And then he follows up with another video trying to explain what he meant by that, which he never addresses the topic. He says, I'm going to make it because of this. Like, I'm making this video because of this confusing statement I made on blah, blah. And then the rest of the thing is about a topic, is about like an update to Manjaro and nothing to do with his statement on the podcast. So like, because he says things like that, I'm not going to trust a distro with someone who leads it.
That's pretty rough.
There's one little thing that's always bothered me with Manjaro, and that's when you launch the browser, and all of a sudden you have bookmarks pop up in your browser without you setting them there. And it's little things like that where I think, well, what else have you done that you thought I may want?
And they modify that on both Chromium and Firefox.
Right. That's right.
So when at first, I think Rocco, you said you compared Manjaro with Linux Mint, right?
Yep.
So at first I was like, well, Linux Mint doesn't update that much. I think whoever the new guys need to mute their peering because we're feedback.
What's his name? What's that guy's name? That's just joined.
We're doing a feedback, so I'm hearing myself on your microphone.
Oh dear.
I'm not hearing the echo, so.
You're not?
I'm not hearing the feedback now.
That's weird.
I hear it a little bit from his end, but
that's weird. But we'll see. See if it keeps.
That's what's better now.
Yeah, it sounds good. So anyway, I think it was weird. When you first said it, I was kind of going, well, that's kind of odd because Linux Mint is like all about stability and they make like updates every few months and never change the core. For like every 2 years. Well, that's not that. That's only a recent thing anyway, but it's just something that kind of was weird to me when you said that. And then when Rob said Manjaro changes things that don't really seem to make sense, I'm like, that's what Linux Mint does. That's a very good analogy now.
Well, I wasn't meaning like the core principles behind the operating system. I was just basically pointing out like something like Rob said about they make these customizations. They install software because they think you'll want to use it. That type of thing. Are you still hearing that feedback?
Yes. The gentleman talking now needs to mute his YouTube.
All right, so Joe wants to know, what do you think is the best way to build your own distro from scratch for someone who's never done it before? Or is a respin better?
Ooh.
So, okay, sorry. What do you think is the best way to build your own distro from scratch for someone who's never done it before? Yeah. Don't do it.
You need to mute your YouTube.
Well, what do you think about this software that you can install and it'll make an ISO out of what you have, so you can make your customizations?
It depends on what you're wanting. Like if you want to make your own distro to deploy on your own machines, so that you have all of the same applications installed, and it's just like bam, bam, bam. I don't have to do the same thing over and over. If that's what you want, great, perfect. If you're wanting to release it to the public, please stop.
So you don't think people would enjoy a Big Daddy Linux?
They might. Would you enjoy maintaining it for the rest of your life?
No, just
there you go. That's most of the time these distros come out and then they're there for like 6 months. People are like, well, I realized I don't really want to keep doing this.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's gone. Right. And then now you have these people in like this limbo of using something that now it's completely gone. That's and there was, Apricity's gone. Ubuntu Studio has like rare updates. Edge Ubuntu is an official flavor from Ubuntu. Gone. Like even things that are like they have infrastructure.
Apricity.
Big distros even get like discontinued because they don't have time.
Well,
so
let me ask.
Some random distro made by somebody, I wouldn't even bother using it.
Let me go back to what Rob was saying about the bookmarks, and it's just a question that's have always bugged me. Ubuntu Mate, when you install it, it changes your home page, or at least on my systems and the family systems that I have it on. It changes their home page in Firefox to the Ubuntu Mate search. And even when you go in to change it, and you change it to something else, it resets itself and makes it the default. Why is that? Do you know? Michael? Hello?
If you were talking to me,
I was talking to you.
Sorry. I was typing in the chat and heard half of that and thought you were talking to Rob.
Well, I don't know if I've ever discussed it with you, Rob. Do you have that same issue?
Yeah, I've had the exact same issue. Yep. And let's back up to Linux Mint too. Doesn't Linux Mint kind of mess with your browser as well, or they did at one point with search engine and everything?
That's fine. There's some things. Okay, so
yeah, but Rocco's question was though in the browser, even if you go in and you change the default search engine.
Yeah, the default homepage. You still.
Homepage. Yeah.
You still end up back on the Ubuntu Mate search page as your homepage. It like resets itself, and I don't know why.
There could be an update that does that. So, for example, if you're talking about Firefox, in most browsers that come default in distros, they have this weird thing where they're attached to a meta package. And the meta package, when that is updated, the things that have been changed to it also update. So when you update Firefox, it's possible that your homepage has also been updated. As far as the search thing, I'm not sure. I've never experienced that part. But what I do is typically not even use any of the customizations. Most of the time, you'll go into your Firefox add-ons, and there'll be like Ubuntu add-on or something.
Right.
Or the customization thing. If you turn that off, it'll turn off pretty much everything that they do except for the defaults. So if you go in and change your homepage or you change your search engine, it'll be separate from what the defaults are. So you shouldn't go back if that add-on is turned off. I don't know if that's actually the cause, but I can pretty much say for sure that if you do turn it off, it will not continue. Unless that meta package updates that add-on too. I don't know if that's the case or not. But I typically turn it off, mainly because it's not compatible with electrolysis. So,
right.
So
now,
I turn it off
is that something
anyway.
they're going to fix as well?
Yeah. Canonical is going to fix it. Now that Firefox has released with electrolysis by default, they don't have a choice but to fix it. Until then, since it's been in beta the whole time, they haven't cared to fix it. So I've been using Firefox with electrolysis for a while and turned off that add-on for, I don't know, a year ago.
Wow.
Because it never worked. And they haven't updated that since 2015.
Wow.
So that package, that add-on is pretty stale. But it doesn't need to, because, I mean, technically speaking, there's no reason for them to update a package in order to compensate for something that's in a beta or an alpha. I mean, I kind of get that. But they should have had some kind of inclination that it was coming soon, and that they should have had it ready to go, even if it wasn't done yet and wasn't released yet. They should be like, hey, guess what? We're this doesn't work, but we're releasing tomorrow the new version or something. Well, that'd be cool. I'd be fine with that. But I don't think it's even out yet. I don't think the patch is fixed yet. So I don't use that add-on, and I haven't for a while. But that add-on does the customization of your search engines and stuff, and bookmarks setup, and like when you go to Amazon, if you use the default Amazon bookmark or the Amazon search, the canonical tag for affiliate thing is associated to it.
Yep.
So if you don't change the search engine tag, it's going to automatically give credit to an affiliate thing to Canonical, which I don't really have a problem with, because they are doing something important as releasing a distro that is a very fundamental thing. So if people want to have that, it's fine. Whatever. Like, I don't have a problem with them taking 2% off of a fee from Amazon. Who cares?
Right.
Like, I mean, more power to them.
Well,
I mean,
that'd be okay as long as it's well documented, so people know that, so they have the choice.
Guys,
it doesn't get in the way, though.
I'm going to call it a night. If it reaches midnight, I turn into a Windows user. So I've got to go.
I'm sorry to hear that, Rob.
Before you go,
Michael, Colin, Rocco enjoyed it.
The Linux Mint one of the main things that you should know about Linux Mint, the reason why I think they do dumb things is the profile, the Mozilla Firefox profile for Linux Mint is the same for everyone. If you install and you don't create a new profile, the default profile is literally the exact same for everyone who uses Linux Mint. So if someone were to get into a Linux Mint somehow, in some way that they have manipulated the Firefox profile on Mint and they have infected it somehow and they could be able to spread it, they could literally infect everyone who uses it and hasn't changed the profile.
What by profile? What do you mean as far as
when you first create Firefox, you have a profile that's got
the Firefox profile.
ID.
I got you. Yeah, all right.
But they use the same Firefox profile for everyone.
For everyone.
Which is it's completely pointless to do that. You can just automate it during the install of Firefox. You can just automate a new profile, like how Ubuntu does it and how everybody else does it. I can't say everybody. I don't know that true, but how most distros do it, whereas Linux Mint just has it for everyone. So that's a security issue. It's not likely to be it's not going to be a vector attack vector. It's not likely to, get involved much. But if it were to be a situation, it would be a pretty bad situation. And another thing is the PPA priorities are stupid.
What do you mean by priorities?
Mint has a priority structure of sources higher than everything else. So when you install something, their priority is going to has a higher elevated by default. So if you install something that's in the Ubuntu repo and it's also in the Mint repo, it goes you pull the Mint repo version down.
Right.
Now that's also possible just by changing the order of priority in the sources list. You don't need to change the actual value priority. But they changed the value priority. And the reason why that's terrible is because PPAs use the default priority level. So if you install a PPA, Mint basically says, I don't care. Here's the Mint version.
Right.
And that's a terrible structure. Like, that's just badly designed.
I didn't realize that, actually.
Yeah, they've been doing that for the past at least 4 years that I know of. They might have done it before.
So is there an easy way to fix that?
Yeah, there's a script. You can run a command that changes the priority for their sources back down to the normal, and it will fix it. But you have to know that's even a thing in the first place.
Yeah, well, you have to know how to do it too. So
that too.
Does that relate to also when you do install things, they don't install everything? I can't remember what that issue was. Something that you can change within the Mint updater, because it doesn't install all the libraries in that, does it? A couple of people have mentioned, I've seen before as well.
So that's an interesting debate there. For Linux Mint's update stuff, they do this priority structure of 1 through 5, like of severity of of how severe an update it could be, how much damage it could do, even though it probably won't, but how much it could. So they have like basically everything's 2. So I'm not sure why they do even 1, because 1 is like a minuscule thing of a singular application. But most everything is 2. But 2 and 3 is very common. 4 and 5 is essentially like library updates or like kernel updates and things like that, or server updates. Stuff that could potentially break something, but also is not likely to break anything. It's an interesting debate, because in some part of me is like, I really like the idea of I can give Linux Mint to someone and then I don't have to worry about them updating and breaking anything, and I have to go to their house and fix it, when I can just tell them only do 1 through 3, and that will guarantee that it's not going to break, because it's just application and stuff like that updates and config updates and stuff. But at the same time, it's bad because you're not going to get security patches. Like Heartbleed was a problem, and they didn't automatically force you to install the Heartbleed SSL fix. So That's kind of a problem.
Well, what did they? I mean, they have to have a. They have. I know their reasoning behind doing the 1 through 5s, but they have to have a reason why they wouldn't force a patch like that, don't they? I mean, like, there has to be there has to be some reasoning from them, eh?
I think it goes back to a long time ago, doesn't it? When a couple of times Ubuntu's kernel upgrades actually stopped, had caused boot issues, didn't it? And I think it all started from then, isn't it? Is that right?
Not wrong. You're not wrong. It's just that their logic is broken. So, yes, it was because kernel updates could possibly break things. And X server updates for a very long time, just updating X server crashed everything. But that's been a while. They didn't start doing this structure until about 2000, I think 12. It might have been 2014, but I think it was 12. By then, Ubuntu had fixed those issues when the kernel updates that it would break stuff. Like, it doesn't happen. It hasn't happened since they instituted the new thing. So their whole reasoning for saying, oh, we're doing this because updates could break things. We're like, well, it won't, because it doesn't have that problem anymore. Like, I've updated blindly multiple computers that are from using a canonical kernel packages for years. I even have some computers that are purely for the process of testing things over a long period of time. Even though I'm not using them, I'm just testing updates to see if something breaks and what breaks. Like, so sometimes I'll take like months before I do an update just to see if anything catastrophic happens by not paying attention to something. I haven't had Ubuntu crash in the sense of kernel updates in at least 5 years, probably more than that. I just don't remember exactly. But I would have remembered it massively corrupting stuff.
Yeah. I know I've been affected by boot issues before, way before I knew too much about Linux. But yeah, there was some updates that Ubuntu did, and it was like basically just reinstall because I had no idea how to fix it back then.
Boot issues are kind of interesting because it could be a grub problem. And
yeah, probably.
Sometimes you have to go in and actually delete the grub config and regenerate it.
Yeah.
Which is very problematic, but you know.
The only problem I've had with Ubuntu with an update is when they switched from I think GNOME, they went default Wayland, and then my machine wouldn't boot. That was like in the beginning of the year, I think.
But that's not an Ubuntu update. That's a Ubuntu GNOME Community Edition update.
Well, yeah, but either way, I'm saying on a whole of my experience with Ubuntu-based distros, that's the only issue that I've ever had.
Oh, okay, cool. That means that's a good thing because it means it's a very rare thing to have those updates break anything. It used to be 2006, 2007, pretty much guaranteed. If you updated the kernel, you'd break something. It was sad, but you know. It was better than Debian, which you update anything, you break something. Because back then, I mean, Linux has changed so much, so fast. And I am so happy to be a Linux user now. And I wasn't back then. Like, I was just doing it out of principle. But it's great now. But anyway, Joe, I think, Joe asked what my personal distro of choice is. That's twofold. There are two distros that have equally taking that position. And that's Antergos and KDE Neon, both of which are using Plasma, as Rocco was completely accurate of saying I was a Plasma user. Totally big fan of Plasma and KDE.
I am a big fan of KDE, and then I'm not a big fan of KDE. I'm a big fan of KDE because it's awesome, and then certain issues just bug the heck out of me, and then it just drives me nuts.
What? Like what?
Well, like I said earlier,
I don't think I listened.
Well, you weren't here, I don't think.
Okay,
I was so excited to have the sound switcher option in the sound applet in the system tray, where you can check the default sound option without going into the system settings.
Mm-hmm.
So installed Manjaro KDE, got it installed, and 2 times right in a row, I'm messing with that default sound, and Kwing crashes. And it's those little things that it's like, oh my gosh, here we go again, you know.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is a topic that was very hard to address prior to, say, Neon release, or the creation of Neon. If you are only experience or main experience and you find bugs, and these bugs are related to a non-primary distro decision of DE. So, for example, Manjaro KDE, that's a community edition. That's not made by Manjaro. That's made by a community team.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're doing is kind of using something that, as an example of saying this is a KDE plasma problem or a Kwin problem. It could be a Manjaro problem, or more accurately, could be a Manjaro KDE team problem.
Well, I actually still have KDE Neon installed on a test drive, and I had went into it before I had installed Manjaro, and I had updated when 5.10 came out. And
Okay.
I had the same exact issue where it would just do a graphics reset when I would mess with the sound option, and it was like one of my favorite features of 5.10. And I don't know if it has anything to do with my specific sound hardware or, you know, my setup. I don't know. But those are the little things that bother me. The other little things that bother me is the theming of KDE. The default theme of Breeze is awesome. The default, what is it? Not the default. The dark Breeze is awesome. But when you start changing themes around, and I'm a big theme changer, then it starts to go haywire as far as not everything looking the way it's supposed to between GTK and Qt apps, and where you're spending more time trying to find a theme that matches between GTK and the other apps than you are actually looking at themes in general.
So you're not wrong, but that's an issue because GTK does not care about compatibility with anything else.
Right.
And GNOME also doesn't care about compatibility with anything else, which makes sense because they're making GTK. But the issue is that when you change a theme in KDE Plasma, you're not changing the GTK theme. They're completely different things. Breeze works great, Breeze and Breeze Dark, because there are GTK specific themes for GTK2 and GTK3 for Breeze.
Correct.
So unless that KDE or that Qt theme or Plasma theme or whatever they call it, then changes often. Unless the Plasma theme is different and has their own GTK versions, it's not going to work right, unfortunately.
And there are very few that have both together.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. And I think that the defaults are nice looking, and I don't use either one. I customized mine. Unfortunately, that means
you mean you customized an actual theme, like you for
I took Breeze and customized it to what I wanted.
Right.
Which it doesn't take that much effort, especially the Qt version, which is just going to the colors section of system settings and changing the color you want.
Right.
GTK stuff is different because you have to change the GTK RC and the CSS for GTK3. Now, the problem with that is that the latest version of GTK decided to be the most annoying piece of crap ever. Because what's great about CSS? Well, it's easily editable. It's a simple text format with syntax that can be easily learned with Googling. What does GNOME do? Well, let's decide to change all that and compress all of the CSS files into an archive format. So you now have to uncompress the stupid archive, then get the CSS files, change the CSS files, recompress it, check to see if your changes actually work or not. If they don't work to what you like, well, you gotta go back and do it again.
Right.
And it's just an incredibly frustratingly annoying decision. And they go, well, it's because we did this so it would load faster. What would load faster? Oh, the boot of the machine? Who cares? I have a SSD. And if you don't have an SSD, you should totally get one. They are awesome. But if you don't, totally get one. But still, it's just kind of like it saves like 10 seconds. And yes, 10 seconds is important if you have a 2-minute boot time. You should get an SSD if you have a 2-minute boot time. But it's incredibly frustrating to have to do it. So you're gonna have to like build a theme editor in order to edit CSS files. And to me, that is asinine, because CSS' entire purpose is to be a simple format. As a web designer who uses CSS every day, who actually has compiling tools that allow you to compile CSS files, it's great. But that doesn't work with GNOME and GTK because it's a custom archive format called CSS-Z or something. I forgot what it was. It's something just completely custom to their crap. And it's just, why make it more frustrating? Well, because it's GNOME and they like to.
Well, those are the little things that, and there's multiple little tiny issues like that. That just, like I said, I love KDE. I've been using KDE for the longest time. It's just that, and geez, 90% of my videos on my channel are about KDE. It just makes it frustrating when it doesn't work as easily as where I can use GNOME and everything just works.
All right, here's a rant. I'm going to have to breathe in a lot for this rant, okay?
Okay.
I agree. He does some stupid things. They do some really bad things too. So I don't know. I can't really argue that some of the stuff they do are weird, and some of the things GNOME does some incredibly horrible things as well. But their default is pretty simple and pretty polished. I'll give them that.
Yep.
It's easy to do simple things when you can't do a lot of stuff. It's very easy to be simple in that case, because their idea of simple is rip it out. But you know. So in the chat room, people were saying, I don't use KDE due to my poor hardware. And another one said, it seemed to be on the heavy side to me. And I think that's the only two that mentioned the heaviness of it or whatever. And I was going to tell you, that is a complete and utter myth.
Yes, it is a myth.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as bloated KDE. It is not a thing. People say it all the time. It's not true. KDE Plasma will actually run better than most everything else on lightweight, unless you're going incredibly light,
Right.
like OpenBox.
Yep. Hey,
But
Manjaro KDE, I was running at 500 megabytes of memory.
Yeah.
Zero
It's-
processor as it was, idling. So there was nothing that made it heavy at all.
Yeah, exactly. The main thing is like the minimum RAM requirement for KDE Plasma is 512 megs. And that's the minimum of the entire hardware, not for just Plasma. So if you have a computer that is like 10 years old, you could use that perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually done it. I have a laptop right there that is 2006, and it's got Plasma on it, and it works fine. It doesn't work great because it's not the most powerful thing, and it's super old, but it works. And the whole point is, if you have even remotely recent hardware, it'll work fine. It's just people have this weird stigma about Plasma because it's a fun thing people like to do, to say Plasma is bloated or KDE is bloated, and they say it all the time. It's not true, never has been true, but it's been said by almost everyone at some point, including myself. About
Isn't the new Plasma 5 lighter than the 4 though?
Yes,
I thought the
it is lighter than the 4.
Yeah.
It absolutely is lighter than 4.
I think there was a time when you could say that KDE was heavy.
Nope, you could not, because at the time everything else was about the same weight, in the sense of like GNOME 2 was the same weight as Plasma or as KDE 3, and KDE 4 was a very lightweight system that people just, they had a problem. They had a memory leak at 4.3. So 4.2, perfectly fine. 4.6, perfectly fine. 4.3, 4.4, and 4.5. 4.4 and 4.5 were trying to fix the memory leak of 4.3. And 4.3 was ridiculously messed up. So it created this concept that KDE, its entire existence is bloated. And it's absolutely not. But that one frame of about 7 months, it was bloated because it was broken. But that was like 2009. But so people continue to say the same thing about KDE since that mess up. And they haven't had a similar thing since.
But I think they're also comparing it to XFCE and other desktops like that,
Not really, because I think most people don't even try it. Most people who say it's bloated don't even try it.
I'm sure there are people out there that will say it just because. But like I said, I know people that have tried it, but they were years ago butting it up against XFCE, and at that time you couldn't compare the two, because KDE was adding all of this stuff to their desktop to add new features that weren't available in XFCE, and you're going to have that until everything is written the right way. So, and
that's a perception of bloat, though. That's not an actuality of bloaters, like performance of bloat. That's people's perception of saying, "Oh, this like KDE is overwhelming. It's got so many features and so many customizations. It's bloated." Well, it's not bloated performance-wise. As far as the amount of customization, it's excessive. There's a lot of things that a lot of people go, "Whoa, I don't need to be able to convert every single element of my title bar and move everything around, and I don't need to have the ability to change the way my windows are lined up on my screen automatically. I don't need to have like a hot corners thing where I can make the windows display like how GNOME does it, but I can change the way it displays everything, and not just in a grid, but in a natural setting or whatever." There's a ton of things in Plasma that people, I can see why people would say it's excessive, and I can't really argue that part. But as far as like performance wise, that's definitely not the case. Like the reason I brought it up is because someone said I don't have good enough hardware. It's like, you absolutely do. You have a misconception of what you need, and you probably, unless you have something that's like ancient, you probably have plenty of hardware.
Well, we can agree that it's definitely not bloated now.
Yeah, it's not bloated. It's got a lot of customizations that make it confusing and overwhelming. Yes, I will give you that. Funny thing is, XFCE is heavier than it used to be now.
Yeah, it's not close to
I'm sorry,
you were cutting out, Colin. Your connection's like cutting in and out. Try it one more time.
I was saying that XFCE is probably almost on par with Plasma, just about, as far as memory usage.
Yes, probably true. XFCE used to be lighter because it used to do less, and they used to be GTK2 only and all those other things. 4.12 has changed it to be probably about 20% heavier than it was. 4.14 will probably add another 20% to what its existing current 20% of that to on top of it, because they're adding support for GTK3 pretty much entirely. That's their goal, is to have it fully GTK3. Things like that. So, it's going to get heavier, but it's still not like I hate the concept of saying, if someone says this blah 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 DE is bloated, like, what do you mean by bloated? Like, what exactly is it? Because your hardware is ridiculously ancient and it doesn't run very well? Well, I mean, good luck with that in general. Or is it because it's not as light as something else on Linux? Like, if you think about it, literally every Linux DE is completely lightweight compared to Mac OS or Windows. Mm-hmm. Like 20% the weight of both of those is what every DE is on Linux. So like, when the concept of lightweight comes into it, you're only talking about other Linux things. And if you want to go ridiculous, i3 uses 7 megs of RAM. So what is lightweight? Like you need to be more specific of what you mean, because the scale in Linux is this is, it's like KDE, GNOME, Cinnamon, and XFCE and Unity are like right here. And then you can't see me because but just imagine 6 feet down is where i3 is. So,
well, it's also relative to your hardware too. I mean, if you're on an old machine, speed and heavy resources is going to be different.
I don't think it really matters which Linux distro you use. It is not going to be as resourceful on your hardware anywhere near what Windows is. Because all that thing does is just makes your hard drive work and work and work constantly. And and any Linux distro has got to be better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just based on the benchmarking is basically the highest anyone has gotten to get any DE, and then they turned on all of the features and all of the stuff and all of the compositing, even turning on Compiz and stuff on Mate, for example. It was still 50% lighter than just default Windows. So as lightweight comes, all DEs are lightweight, and when you look at the perspective of all operating systems. But when you look at other DEs, now I can be more fair and say we're only referring to DEs, so i3 doesn't count, or JWM doesn't count. Let's go to that. So the lowest you could possibly get is LXDE. OpenBox is not a DE either, so let's just take that out too.
Right.
So LXDE is the lightest you can have. The difference between the two is about 3 times heavier, roughly. So KDE Plasma is 3 times heavier than the LXDE. Now, in the context of, this being 3 times heavier, that does sound heavy. But the amount of RAM it is basically nothing. For example, when you look at just the window management usage of Plasma, it's about 150 megabytes. When you look at the average of LXDE, it's about anywhere between 40 and 50 sometimes. You can get it lower depending on what your settings are, but it's roughly about 45 or so. So that's about 3 times, maybe a little more, depending on this configuration. But it's not that much. 150 megabyte for your entire desktop environment is not that much.
Well, Slide said, I don't relate bloat to resource usage. To me, something feels bloated when there are too many features that I don't need.
That's a fair call.
Well, he says I used i3 as my primary. So literally every D is too many features.
Well, when you're starting there, when that's your starting point, yeah, it's probably going to feel bloated in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. So in that sense, I understand the perception of too many features in Plasma, but when you're comparing it to i3, it's everything is more. Everything you can do in i3, you can do in Plasma. Not everything in Plasma can be done in i3, and that's kind of the comparison is just night and day. Even the tiling feature of i3 is available in Plasma.
You say OpenBox and i3 are not classed as desktop environments, is that right?
Yeah, i3 is not a desktop environment; it's a window manager.
It's just a window manager. Okay. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of window managers that are confused with being desktop environments, but they're not. OpenBox is not one. i3 is not one. Awesome's not one. Let's see. JWM is not one. DWM is not one. I can go on, but my favorite, because it's the weirdest one, name-wise, Herbstfluft.
What?
There's a window manager called Herbstfluft, and it's Herbstfluft WM.
Well, Frank's asking in the chat, is LXDE lighter than LXQT?
Yes, it is. And it's going to be deprecated, so you can just ignore its existence.
Yep.
It's not going to be deprecated for a couple of years, but it will be going away. because the team who's like the main team about LXDE has switched over to LXQT. They're the ones making it. So they're going to continue maintaining LXDE until the support. They haven't officially said when they're going to drop it, but they have said that they will eventually drop it.
And what's the main advantages to LXQT to LXDE? What's the main advantages?
When you look, okay, it depends on if you're talking about the user advantage or the developer advantage or the future of the technology advantage. The what? The user
advantage. Yeah.
Okay. More powerful tools. You have a Qt toolkit, so you have a more clean window GUI structure. So if you can change things more easily in LXQT, you can, like, if you want to just change the color of your windows, you just go into the configs and change the color, and it changes everything.
Right.
You know, there's as far as the experience of LXQT and LXDE, they're very similar as far as like UI and UX. They've designed LXQT to be to feel similar to LXDE. So as far as like their intent is trying to make it transparent when you switch, or at least not so much different that it's jarring. So I don't think as far as the user goes, there's much difference they would notice.
So from a developer perspective, it must be a lot easier, is it?
It's easier because the toolkit allows them to use Qt at a reasonable rate without having to deal with modifications to the entire stack. Okay. The reason why they decided to go Qt was because LXDE to continue would have to upgrade from GTK2, which was deprecated, to GTK3. But GTK3 changes so much, so often, and not in the sense like, oh, you know, there's a new update, great. But in the sense there's a new update, oh, it broke a bunch of crap, great. Like, that's the problem with GTK. They don't care what you want. As a user, they don't care what you want as a developer. This is what they're doing. If you like it, great, cool. If you don't, you figure it out. Use something else. So LXD team said, you know, it's not worth the hassle. We'll just switch to Qt. Because when Qt releases a new update, they guarantee backwards compatibility.
Same situation with Solus, right?
Yeah, that's why Solus is switching away from GTK to Qt, is because of the GTK breaks, and also the stack of the GNOME GTK stack. The stack is very heavily GNOME specific, so it's kind of hard to change. Like, if you look at there's probably interviews where Ike has said this, but if you look at the code for Budgie, there's a lot of patchwork to make GTK work with Budgie that is like ignoring and pretending to be GNOME, because GTK like expects GNOME now for some reason. So, and not only is Budgie having to deal with the breaks of GTK, they're actually in certain cases having to pretend that that Budgie is GNOME, so it to run properly, and that's just going to break eventually. If he were to continue using GTK, it would eventually blow up in his face. So it makes perfect sense why they're switching to Qt at some point. I don't know when they're going to do it, and Ike doesn't know either, but he has announced that they will be switching as soon as possible. Like, yeah, but Budgie 11 will have Qt.
Some things are starting to look pretty awesome now. I've seen on Google Plus some huge changes there. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, they do a lot of cool stuff. I mean, I think Solus is a great project, and I hope I wish the best for them. And it's the concept of the Raven menu is cool. Like, I like it. The simplicity of Budgie is really cool. They have a lot of interesting, and I do like the fact that they don't always ask you, "Are you sure about everything?" Like, that's nice.
Yeah, but aren't those changes you're talking about, Colin, all the stuff that he's been talking about in the last few days and weeks, that's going to be before Budgie 11, correct?
Yeah.
No, I think that was Budgie 11 changes. I believe it was transparent panels. He had a panel on the left-hand side that was intelligently hiding when you push the window next to it, and then it was down the bottom and all these different things. I'm assuming that's all the Budgie 11 stuff that he's working on. So he just puts little snippets out there on Google Plus.
I haven't seen that, but the fact that he's working full time now on Solus means there's a higher likelihood that Budgie 11 will come faster.
I think it's another week until he's full time, I believe. I think he said.
Yeah. I forgot when he announced it, but he said he was going to give him a 4-week notice thing.
Yep.
Yeah, another week. I think he's got to go, and I think he's on there. So I don't know if that guy sleeps, to be honest.
Well, that's got to be rough on him because I'm sure he has a lot of friends at Intel, and anytime you leave somewhere, it's rough. So.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's a great for the Solus community. It's great for the project, and potentially great for the community as a whole in Linux because of the stuff that Ike's doing outside of Solus. So that's it sounds really good. I wish the best for him, and I hope that he finishes a Budgie 11 as soon as possible, and also knocks out the Mate Brisk menu.
Yep.
Because the Mate desktop needs a solid menu. It's been needing it for ever. So it's really nice.
Speaking of the Brisk menu, that was actually on his new Budgie one on his snippets. The Brisk menu was actually in the Budgie desktop. I'm pretty sure I seen the Brisk menu in there on one of his videos.
It's interesting.
It looked like the Brisk menu.
I don't know. Well, the regular menu for Budgie is kind of similar. Like the style is very similar. I don't know.
No, it was definitely the Brisk style. It looked well. That's what it looked like to me, anyway.
Cool. So, I haven't looked at it, so I have no idea.
Yeah, because I'm on the Google Plus, the Solus Circle in Google Plus. So every time he puts up these little videos, I see them.
Yeah.
And so they're quite interesting to see.
So
really
I like his
stuff. What's on there and say what he's got there. He's trying to sort of just give you little hints here and there.
Sometimes he'll post a video, a screenshot or a video, and he'll say, "See anything different?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's so subtle that the answer is probably no. Out of the 10 I've seen, I think I saw 6 of the differences, but that's because it was like I'm a graphic designer, so I see like even pixel changes, and the things that I noticed were like, there's no way people are going to notice this. Like you change the thickness of the panel, like that's kind of ridiculous. Like no, probably not.
Well, I can't wait to see what he comes up with when he's full time, because he came up with all of this part time. Man, he puts his mind to it.
Be a lot of cool stuff, and maybe more packages will get into the repos for Solus.
Yeah.
So, Mike, can you explain to me? I just want
few problems people have with it.
Can you just explain to me, Michael? You seem to know quite a fair bit about the intricacies of the desktop. When they changed, they got their own GNOME desktop. So does that still use the GNOME stack, or does that use everything else that they're changing? I don't understand how all that works.
Are you talking about Ubuntu?
No, Solus.
Solus. Oh, no. So yeah, they do use the GNOME stack in certain cases because of the whole having to pretend to be GNOME thing. But their intent was to not use GNOME. Like, they're not a fork of GNOME at all. Where Cinnamon is a complete direct fork. Solus Budgie is not a fork. But it does have to use some of the stack in order to pretend to be GNOME.
Yeah, but what about their GNOME desktop? How does that work?
Oh, their GNOME version is totally GNOME.
It is totally okay.
Yeah, it's totally GNOME, and it's not. It's managed by Joshua Strobel.
Oh, the GNOME desktop is managed by Joshua, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's the only maintainer, but I know he's like the head guy.
They're going to have a separate guy maintaining the KDE version too.
Yep, and another guy maintaining the Mate version. Ikey's mostly the Budgie guy and the main dude. He's like the infrastructure builder guy and the Budgie developer, and he also works on the Mate stuff too. But it seems like they're giving he's giving like community control over some of the desktop environment options, so he can have other time to do other things. So which makes sense, especially considering the KDE Plasma version is like, he said there would never be one.
Yeah, I know.
Hilarious when he released it. Like, So guess what? There's gonna be a KDE version.
Yep.
He said that about Mate too.
Well, he the reason why he said that about Mate, like, because he only wanted it. Solus was meant to just be budgie, and I get that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But then the Mate was, and then Martin Winpers went to him and said, "Hey, will you make? I'll pay you if you develop this menu." And he's like, "I will totally develop a menu for you."
Yeah.
In order to develop a menu for Mate, he has to make a Mate. He has to use a Mate distro. So it made kind of sense to just make a Mate version of Solus because he's already working on Solus. He doesn't want to devote more time to a different distro. Kind of makes sense. So that's why he did it. I get that one. But the reason he did the KDE one was just funny. It's so funny. It's because people wanted KDE applications. And he was like, I got to pull in the stack anyway. I might as well make a Plasma version. He's like, in order to have Krita and Kden Live and Digicam and all these other things that KDE makes, you have to have the stack. And in order to have the stack, the only thing else that you're missing is KWin and Plasma. So just bring those two.
Right.
I think IP's problem is he makes such a good distro, everybody wants it with their own flavor of desktop environment, don't they?
That seems to be the case. I think Solus has some good ideas, and they're much more like a boutique distro. But I like what they're doing. Like the simplicity of it, and the concept is cool. I don't like. It's not for me because it doesn't have a lot of the packages I want. They do have more that I use now because of the whole KDE stack bringing in, but they don't have a significant amount of applications. Like my text editor, they don't have. So, you know.
Which text editor do you use?
Sublime Text.
Oh, okay.
I'm
there
one
must
of
be
those
so many
guys.
text editors out there.
Do what?
There must be so many text editors out there.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of them. The reason why I get hate on Sublime is not because it's not a good text editor. It's a very good text editor. It's a fantastic text editor. So good, there are clones of it called Atom and Light Table and about 10 other ones that are just clones of Sublime. The reason why I get hate on being a Sublime user is because Sublime is proprietary.
Oh, proprietary. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much the only reason. A lot of people hate the fact that they want you to pay for it. And it's like, I know, right? Making money off your work, that's crazy. But they have nagware. So Sublime is kind of like nagware. So every 100 saves you do in Sublime, it says, hey, want to buy it now? And you go, no thanks. And it goes, all right, see you in 100 saves. So it just does that. And that's the only thing. It's annoying, and you just say, escape, don't buy, and it goes, okay, see ya. And you can continue to use it forever. Like, it is technically free. It's just also nagging. So, I mean, people get annoyed by that. But for me, I think I spent a year and a half with it just nagging me. And at no point did I go, oh, go away. I was like, you know what? I have a year and a half with this thing. I probably owe them some money now. Mm-hmm. It's just out of principle and out of ethics. I should pretty much give them some stuff because this is a fantastic editor. And it's also like 10% the resource usage of Atom. And Atom is just a copy of Sublime. To the point of looking like Sublime, copying their shortcut system, copying their functionality. It's pretty much a copy based on Electron, which is silly. Hey,
silly.
What do you want your editor to be? A browser? Fantastic.
Sure.
That's perfect. I would love that.
All right, gentlemen. I think the time has come for the end of the stream.
The time has come to
it's
play
12:30, dude. It's 3 hours. Maybe it's time for Rocket League.
That's the only
12:30 afternoon here, Rocco.
Uh-oh. Well, it's 12:30 at night, and I think it's time to end it, and we'll see you guys. Well, no, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to have a live stream next Friday because I actually have to work next Friday. So if I did, it wouldn't be until 11:30 something like that until I got home 11:30 Eastern. So I don't know if I'm going to have one or not. It depends on how work goes that night. But
sounds good. Makes sense.
I've had a blast here, Rocco. Thanks.
Hey, you're welcome anytime, Colin.
Yeah. And by the way, would you like a coffee? I've always wanted to say that to you.
That's awesome. I don't have any more coffee, dude. It's empty. All right, guys. Thank you for stopping by.
How do you like my OBS inside of your OBS?
What?
Did you notice my OBS inside of your OBS?
I have not noticed your OBS inside of my OBS.
You see the Tux Digital thing on it?
I seen that. I want to know how you got that on there using Appear In.
Yeah, it's OBS.
But how does Appear In pick up OBS?
It doesn't.
But that's okay. So how does that work?
So this took way too much
here we
time.
go.
It took too much time. I'll just explain it shortly.
Yeah.
You know. So OBS does not have a virtual camera. Appear In needs a virtual camera to do this. So what I do is I create everything I want in OBS. Then I turn OBS and the preview into a full screen preview on my other monitor, which is right here. And then I have FFmpeg scanning or capturing the monitor itself, turning that into a virtual camera with VL loopback stack, and then have a separate feature, a dummy device created with a VL loopback. Then FFmpeg sends it to the VL loopback dummy device, and then dummy device is seen in Appear In. So,
super simple.
Yeah, it is. As soon as I figured out I could do this, I was like, I'm totally gonna do this because I'm gonna be like the first person to put logos and stuff in Appear In.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Michael's gonna make a script for you.
No,
he's gonna show me how to do it.
I actually did make a script for myself, but I don't want to. I might release it and say, here's the script you need. Here's the things you need to install. Here's a tutorial how to figure it out yourself. I'm not going to build a package for you because this is too complicated. Because you have to create, you got to create the dummy device every single time you boot your computer. So not the most ideal solution. Although I did find something else that was kind of cool. During my process, there's this app called Webcamoid for Linux. And it actually comes out as a app image. And it's cool because it creates the dummy device for you automatically. But it doesn't do the recording properly. So it's like Appear In can't see it. So it can't send the data to the device. So it's like half there. Right. But it does look pretty cool. Like it does have some potential. So, yep, there you go.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll see you guys next week. If not, we'll see you the following week.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks, Rocco. Thanks, guys. Great chat.
I will eventually be on time.
Okay. Someday.
Maybe.